I need all the wins, yeah. Ain't no L's, I gotta get a no call to quits, yeah. Gotta keep on moving no matter how hard it gets, yeah. Better move out the way, cause I'm coming with harder hits. My head is as hard as a brick, but I'm harder than all of this. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. My heart on my sleeve, stress, seal my greed. That's how I get it, success ain't no giving. Some days I don't hit, I don't sleep. When I'm focused, I'm dangerous, down, wonder when I'm anxious. Ain't no limit till I tank, I'm running on fumes. The opposition don't amaze, the roads racing through the pavement. Get your hands out of my bag, I know that's because I've been in it. I don't need to brag, I guess that's what happens when you taking care of your business. But some family, you do the math. I'm out of my pocket, Houston, we got a problem, man. Perfect, let them watch me, elevating, got them nauseous. Cause I'm the pilot in the cockpit, nose diving, ain't the option, woo. Watch out, get ahead, watch out, get ahead, watch out, get ahead, woo.
It's time! Welcome to DFS by the Numbers with your host, Brady.
Better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. This is UFC 279 Best Bet. We have Tony Ferguson going against Nate Diaz. Really looking forward to the card. We have 13 fights to talk about. As always, we're going to go through the fights here. We're going to break them down. We're going to give our best bet for each and every fight on the card. Joining me today is MMA Lock of the Night. Haven't done a show with Lock in a while, so glad to have him on here. If you guys don't know Lock, you can check him out on YouTube, on Twitter. I did link his YouTube down below. But Lock, we are here. It is Saturday, and we are about 2 hours until we see the very first fight on the card. How you feeling?
I'm hyped. We talked a little bit about it before we went live here, but firstly, obviously, thanks to you for bringing me on the show. Always love chopping it up with you. And you're right, we don't get to do it often enough. But man, dude, your intro got me hype more than anything. That's some fire right there, man. From the animations to the beat itself. Good job. That's some fire shit right there. But in regards to 279, I am just as hype as that track makes me, my friend.
Let's go. I'm excited. And yeah, but like we were saying, I think the switch around from a fan perspective made me and you a lot more excited about the card. I thought the original 3 matchups were good, but I think it could not have worked out any better. So I'm looking forward to this card even more. I think it makes a much better card here. Before we get started, guys, if you guys can please leave a like, subscribe to the channel as well. Go check out Lock. Go subscribe to him. The link is down below in the description. I do want to shout out the chat before we get started. We got iClub's first one in the chat. We got Lewis. We got Trey. How you doing? We have Pampered Puppy. We have Fear in the chat. We got Get Darsh Choked. We have John in the chat. We have Wade's Venture, the Wallace Bar, Lou Betcha. We got Gus. We have Chris. We have Hua North. We have MMA Goulash, and we got Brandon in here and Random. We got Sean as well. Thank you all for hanging out. Be sure to leave a like. We're going to go through all these fights, and we're going to give our best bet. There are only 2 rules on this bet show. The first rule is there is no passing on any fight. We got to give a best bet. And the other rule is we're going to use current lines. I just refreshed the odds. I'll refresh them once again so we can get the most up-to-date odds here. But we'll start with the first fight of the night. I'm very curious to your thoughts on this one, Lock. We got the Canadian and Johan Lioness going against Darian Weeks. Which way are you leaning, and any spots sticking out for you on the first fight of the card?
It's always a tough scene when I have to go out there and pick against the Canadian, but I'm going to have to at least do it 2 times on this card. But you know, like the level of competition up here in Canada is just not the greatest. And Johan, he can go out there and start some of these guys on the regional scene and maybe even on the CFFC scene. But once he gets to the UFC, you know, we saw him falter against Gabe Green in his debut. He's pretty much that banshee in that early going. And then if he's not able to get the knockout, he starts to slow down, gets into the second round, and then that's where his opponents are able to take over. I think Weeks has a higher upside here. I think he's the better overall fighter, better wrestling, maybe better technical striker, but I don't want to go out on a limb and truly say that. But Johan's fight-changing power is something that we have to worry about. This might be a live betting entry on Darian Weeks after that first round, but I think Weeks is the side here. Minus 115, not too bad of a line. I'd probably just go straight up with this money line, but me personally, I have no money invested on this fight.
Yep, I like it. We're on the same page. Lock going with the Weeks money line. I think that's a very good spot, especially this week. A lot of money has come in on the Lioness side, and I'm with you, Lock. I think Weeks is in a good spot here. Of course, you have to worry about that power with Johan Lioness. I saw someone in the chat say it, Johan Lioness round 1 knockout. I think that's his win condition. But, I do lean on the weak side because of a couple things. I think he's going to have the clear cardio advantage, and I think he's very tough. He's very tough, very durable. I think he has 25, 26 combined fights between pro and amateur. The guy's never been knocked out. Could that change here? Potentially. But I do like Weeks to kind of weather that early storm, make this a grinding fight, get this later into fight, potentially win a decision. And a prop that did stick out to me was the round 3 or decision for Darian Weeks. I personally think he does win a decision, but I just like getting the extra third round there on DraftKings Sportsbook. That is plus 215. So looks like we're both on the weak side. You're going with the money line. I'm going with the round 3 or decision there, but we both agree that Weeks should get it done. Get Dark Choke like in the Johan round 1 TKO. And I think if you like Johan, that's probably how you play him. Wallace like in that third round or decision. I'm right there with you. Wade saying Weeks round 2, round 3 makes a ton of sense there. I get Dark Chokes. I got the fight to end in KO minus 150.
Not bad.
Sean saying Johan is a beast with massive power. Weeks just isn't that good. Oh, Weeks is good. And then Probaholic saying, I love a live bet on Weeks after round 1. I think that's a very good way to play it as well. All right, we'll keep moving on to the next fight. We have Elise Reed going against Melissa Martinez. And if you guys know me, you guys know that I'm one of the biggest Elise Reed haters out there. I don't think she's that great. I will be looking to fade her in the future, but I feel like this line just doesn't make a ton of sense to me. You take a look at Elise Reed, and the line is where it is because people think she sucks, and maybe she does. But you take a look at her matchups in the UFC. She's getting taken down in every single fight. When she's not having success, it's because she's getting taken down. She got taken down a few times by Corey McKenna. She got taken down and finished by Sam Hughes. She got taken down and finished by CR Eubanks. Luckily, Melissa Martinez, I've never seen her shoot a takedown in my life, maybe like one takedown in her entire career. So I think Elise Reed is going to get the fight she wants. I think it's going to be a very competitive fight on the feet. I think, if anything, maybe Elise Reed goes the takedown route. I think Elise Reed's going to be the better grappler here from what I've seen. So I'm going to go with the money line for Elise Reed. Do I feel good about it? No. But, I mean, she's the more active fighter. We have not seen Melissa Martinez fight an MMA fight in over 1,000 days. Elise Reed's fought the much better competition by a mile. Could Melissa Martinez take that layoff, come back and completely level up, look like a completely different fighter, and run through Elise Reed? Potentially. It's just from what I've seen, I just don't think Martinez warrants being this big of a favorite. So for me, it's going to be Elise Reed money line, as scary as it is. Lock. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this one.
Yeah, I love me some women's MMA, right? People usually use the cop out of, oh, it's women's MMA, just pass on this fight. No, like that's probably one of the best spots for me in terms of like honing in on those women's MMA spots that I can see an edge in. And I don't really see an edge much at all in this fight on either side, right? I don't have the confidence on the Elise Reed side to take the underdog shot, nor do I have the confidence on the Martinez side to eat that chalk at minus 170. Both of these women, whenever they fight, more often than not, their opponents look to take them to the ground. Luckily for them here, you would think that neither of them will be looking for that. But I think that you are right, that if someone were to do it, it would probably be the Elise Reed side. I still do end up on the Martinez side here, though, as I do think that she'll be slightly quicker to the punch. I love the way that she's never stationary. She's always moving. She's on the balls of her feet. She's, cutting angles, trying to pivot off, and then she just looks for that perfect opportunity to close the distance, blitz forward, and land her big strikes. I think it's perfect for her here, honestly, to touch up Elise Reed, but Elise could definitely be live in this spot. I'm not as down on her as you are and as many people are, but I still think that she has something to give in the UFC. I think she loses this fight, but I wouldn't be surprised to see her as a possible live dog in her next couple fights. So give me Martinez this time around. Like you said, she's been out of the cage for almost 1,000 days, 3 years or so, but she has been staying active in terms of her kickboxing career. She's been winning a gold medal over there in Italy, representing Mexico on the world stage. So it's not like she's just sitting on the sidelines collecting dust. She was actually doing something with her time. So interested to see who dives for the legs first. But if this remains a kickboxing matchup, I still lean on the Martinez side. I just think that the line is just a little bit too wide.
Yeah, it makes sense. From a betting perspective, are there any props that really stuck out to you on this one?
Props. I do think this fight goes the distance. I think maybe Martinez by decision would probably be the best way to go about it. That line, where is that? You got plus 130 on that right now. Not bad. Could she land a knockout? Possibly, but Reed has shown to be pretty tough, pretty difficult to put away. I'll go Martinez just by outpointing her.
Yep, all that makes complete sense to me. I think it'll be a close fight, taking the dog shot. We'll see what happens here. Wallace saying it goes the distance. I agree. The fight goes to decision. It looks like it is minus 225. Not terrible. Random saying Martinez with the Melissa Gatto type transformation comes back looking like a killer. Martinez inside the distance for the if she comes back looking like Melissa Gatto, she probably does finish this fight, right? Wallace saying this guy just said he loves betting women's
You
MMA.
know it.
Yeah, Locke is that.
Check the
women's
scoreboard,
MMA
folks. I kill women's MMA. I kill women's MMA, and I can say that wholeheartedly.
Yes, sir. So yeah, Locke is the women's MMA whisperer. So listen up. And then Zero saying,
Watch out,
Melissa,
Uncle Easy. Watch out, Uncle Easy.
yes, Melissa, but no bet makes sense to me. All right, guys, we'll move on to the next fight. We have Alatang Haley going against Chad and Hellinger. I will let you kick this one off, Locke. What are you looking at for this one?
I like the Chinese fighter in this one, right? I told you I hate picking against Canadians, and I have to do that again here. There's a reason Chad Hellinger started his career 2-5. Like, he's an okay fighter. He puts good pressure on his opponents. He's always moving forward. He's throwing big strikes and landing them more often than not, and able to knock out some guys. But like, let's not forget that he did lose a round to Jesse motherfucking Strader, out of all people, right? Like, he is not that good. That's why we're getting him at an underdog price here. Haile Alatang made the Chinese wrestling team at 15 years old. We saw him in his first 2 MMA, or at least UFC fights, land a combined 7 takedowns. He's gone away from it a little bit here in his last 3 fights, only attempting 1 takedown. But I believe that he's going to use the threat of the takedown, the level changes and all that, to really stifle Chad, right? Give Chad more things to think about. So I'm thinking, Haile with some takedowns, not thinking he's going to Khabib him by any means, but I do think that just allows the rest of his offensive game to start going off with the threat of the takedown being there as well. So I like Haile a lot here. I like his money line as well. Honestly, I personally took a shot at minus 175 for 2 units. I think I don't want to say he clowns on Chad in this spot, but I think he wins this fight pretty decisively. I'd go Haile by decision as well if you want a specific prop for this fight.
Yeah, so we're gonna disagree a little bit. I'm actually going with the Hellinger money line. I actually don't have a bet on this fight. The reason is I think Alatang Haley has the path to victory to make him look like a big favorite here. I think if he wrestles, he looks like a massive favorite. The reason why I can't quite get there is I just don't trust him to do that. If he does go out here and wrestle, I think the path is there. Chad and Hellinger taken down multiple times on the Contender Series, taken down multiple times by, like you said, Jesse Strader. If you're Alatang Haley, you go for takedowns here and you make this look easy. I'm kind of struggling with if he does not go for takedowns. I think on the feet, it's going to be super close here. I like the volume a little bit more on the Hellinger side. Both guys hit very hard. So for me, I'm just kind of fading the IQ of Alatang Haley. He hasn't wrestled in his last 3 fights, but like I said, if he does wrestle here, I think you do cash that bet. I'm passing on this one, but if anything, it would be the dog shot on Chad and Hellinger. But Alatang Haley clearly has that path to victory. All right. We will move on. Let's check the chat out first here. Did Brady pick Chad on the Contender Series? I actually did not. I picked Gafarov. I thought it was a very good spot for Gafarov, actually. Gafarov was like minus 300 or 400 in that fight.
Yep.
And Chad definitely surprised me.
He surprised a lot of people. Let's be honest. They were not, they were not expecting that type of performance from him to stop the takedowns and continue to get back to his feet the way that he did. Very impressive from him, but at a certain point, it's going to stop. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the path to victory is there for Alatang. Dar saying Chad decision. Paul saying Chad decision. Lou saying Brady and Locke arm wrestled before the show. That is entirely true. Manpreet and Brady with disagreements. Yeah, maybe we'll agree on the next one here. I'm looking forward to the next fight. But Locke, I will let you kick this one off as well. We have a very interesting one. We have Norma Dumont going against Danielle Wolf. And yeah, let's hear your thoughts on this one, because this one's a kind of a weird one, especially after seeing the face-offs and seeing Danielle Wolf look like a freaking monster. First off, does that change your thoughts on this fight at all? And second off, what do you like for this fight?
Shout out to Clint, who was like, it looks like Danielle Wolf looks like a super soldier. And it's true, man. She is jacked as hell. It is absolutely crazy. But no, I knew that she was going to have a sizable advantage here in terms of height and reach in this matchup, right? Like, it was evident just off the metrics, and seeing them kind of face to face, you see it as well. So Yeah, no, I just don't know how you can go out there and trust Norma Dumont at minus 400 in this spot. Like, you want to talk about fight IQ? Like, it's Norma Dumont, right? You go away and piss away 10 minutes against Macy Chiasson and then start to fight in that third round, but it's too late because you're already so far behind that you can't catch up. Wolf, maybe it's going to be harder to take her down, right? Like, I know she's been spending time with Dean Lister in terms of working with her jiu-jitsu, but hopefully she's been working on her takedown defense, and she seems to be strong enough to stifle any type of takedowns that are going to come her way. I'm certain Dumont will be able to land a takedown if she tries hard enough. That I'm absolutely certain about that. But should this fight remain on the feet, right? Danielle Wolf is the accredited boxer coming into this fight. She didn't have the greatest run as a boxer. I think her ending record was like 30-14 or something like that, with no knockouts on her record. But and she was fighting some sketchy competition there as well. But the fact of the matter is, she's the one that's been training boxing for as long as she's been training it, and we know that she's going to have a technical advantage here over Norma Dumont. So I actually approached this fight in two ways. I did take a small poke on Danielle Wolf at plus 330. If this fight remains in the standing position, which we see Norma Dumont is totally fine with allowing fights to take place in the striking realm, Danielle Wolf should have the advantage in that aspect. But the other shot that I did take as well is on the under 2.5. Because if Norma Dumont does truly have a grappling edge, as most people expect her to, she should be able to get this fight to the ground and find a submission. So that would, kind of hedge out of my small poke on Danielle Wolf. And then even on the Danielle Wolf side, I know she has no knockouts in boxing, but we're talking about, 6-ounce gloves here and compared to what they're fighting with in boxing. And if she does have a big technical advantage here over Norma Dumont, she might be able to clip that chin and find some success in that aspect, right? Dumont, the last time she got finished was by a big Megan Anderson. She's fighting another big Danielle Wolf in this spot, so it's absolutely on the table. And then if Wolf wins a decision, the plus 330 nullifies the under 2.5 from not hitting, and I still end up cashing. Worst case scenario is Norma Dumont by submission here, or Norma Dumont over 2.5. It's possible. So all in all, my action here is only about a unit, 1.75 units. All in all, a little bit on Danielle Wolf, but the majority of it on the under 2.5. So if I were to suggest a bet here, it would be the under 2.5 at plus 175.
And I'm going to agree with you on this one. I do like Dumont to win this fight. I like her to win it inside the distance as well. But I mean, from a money line perspective, it is absolutely Danielle Wolf, because if Norma Dumont comes out here and wrestles and gets on top, I think she's going to have a significant advantage on paper. She's a brown belt in BJJ, maybe a black belt now. We see that Wolf is a white belt in BJJ, only one professional MMA fight. If Norma Dumont fights smart, gets on top, I think she finishes the fight. If Norma Dumont does not do that, and she strikes with Danielle Wolf for 15 minutes, she's not looking minus 425, minus 390. So I think trusting Norma Dumont at this price tag is crazy. But as far as a bet, I'm going to go with the same thing, the under 2.5 plus 175. I saw the fight doesn't go to decision. It was like late night on Bovada. It was still sitting at plus 160. I think the fight doesn't go to decision's a very good look, because like I said, Dumont can very well get on top, finish the fight shortly after. And we have seen Dumont knocked out before by Megan Anderson. Anderson, 6 foot, Wolf, 5'11", looked completely jacked. It was towering over Norma Dumont, which is crazy to me. So yeah, I think the fight doesn't go. These unders are probably the best way to look at it. And I will agree with that one there. Let's take a look at what the chat is saying for this one. We have Random saying Dumont round 1 sub, ship it. I think it's live if she gets the takedown there. Gab saying Dumont by sub. Wolf looked crazy big compared to Dumont. Yeah, I just was not expecting that. Probaholic liking the violence. Wolf is 39. Yes, she is 39, and she is coming off of a layoff. Wolf by KO. Yeah, what is Wolf by KO? Wolf by KO is like plus 1,000.
850, plus 850, plus 1,000
on DK.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Danielle is the real Wolf, not Hamzat. I don't know about that one, but we will definitely find out, right?
How about a Wolf parlay? Yeah, I mean,
I love it. All right, moving on to the people's main event, the fight that everybody's looking forward to talking about this week. We have Chris Barnett going against Jake Collier. First off, I want to say shout out to Chris Barnett. Set a UFC record. Never thought I'd hear that. The UFC record was the heaviest weigh-in ever. He weighed in at 267.5 pounds. The second only heavyweight to ever miss weight, right behind Justin Tafa. Congratulations, Chris Barnett. You did it. You have a UFC record in the books. Yeah, I think this is obviously, when you look at Jake Collier at minus 500, it scares you a little bit. But I think Chris Barnett is one of the worst fighters on the heavyweight roster here. I mean, and there's some really bad fighters. You have like Chase Sherman, you have Jared Vandera. I think, Barnett is probably the worst. And I was saying in one of my shows, like if this was a dance off, if this was like Dancing with the Stars, then maybe I would take a shot at Chris Barnett plus 375 because clearly he's the better dancer. But we're talking MMA, Jake Collier's better everywhere. He has the better cardio, he has the better striking, the better wrestling, the better grappling, the better competition. I mean, Jake Collier's better everywhere outside of dancing, and I don't think dancing wins MMA fights. So I like Jake Collier here. Obviously, I don't like the minus 500, but what I do like is Collier to win inside the distance, and it's still plus money on some books. I see minus 105 there on DraftKings. Chris Barnett, his cardio is not good. His takedown defense isn't good. His get-up game is not good. His ground game is not good. I think one takedown, the fight could absolutely be over. Or I think Jake Collier can just drown him in volume and finish him late. So I like Collier inside the distance. I also like the fight doesn't go to decision. If you like the Barnett side and you think dancing does win fights, Barnett by split is a dance move. The split is plus 2,800. So if you're into the whole narrative, Barnett could win the fight via dancing. Barnett by split is plus 2,800. But I think this is Collier all day. I think the line does indicate that Collier inside the distance, near even money. That's the route I'm taking. Locke, how do you feel about this fight, and what are you taking?
It's breakdowns like that, Brady, that make me miss doing breakdowns with you on a regular basis. Yeah, I mean, like I fucking loved every aspect of that. I largely agree with you here. My only concern is like Jake Collier has been known to just be okay with winning fights by decision, right? And that's kind of my concern. Like if he doesn't put his foot on the gas, he could easily just go on and cruise and win this fight by decision by just picking apart Chris Barnett from outside, right? I see the narrative of Collier, taking this to the ground and smashing him, but like a large part of that confidence for people came from the Chase Sherman fight. And one thing that people keep looking over is that like in the post-fight press conference, Jake's like, I noticed that Chase throws lazy leg kicks. So I was hoping that I was going to grab one of those kicks and take him down and make him pay for it. That's exactly how he got him to the ground and took advantage of it. Maybe he sees something similar in Chris Barnett that he can take advantage of. But I am scared that he's just going to be okay with touching him up from the outside and just staying safe and not getting clipped by anything that Barnett throws. We can rag on him all we want and say the only way that he wins this fight is by dancing his way to a decision or something. But he has big power, right? Like he does have some power in his hands. It's heavyweight at the end of the day, and he might be able to explode into this punch and land on the chin of Jake Collier. And you guys know me. You guys have been following some of my stuff. You guys know that I love Jake Collier. I'm a big Jake Collier fan, but I am personally stumped on the method of victory that he's going to go for here, whether it's inside the distance, whether it's by decision. But I don't mind the shot on like parlaying his chalky money line. Like he should win this fight without a doubt. I just can't come to a comfortable solution in terms of the method of victory for him in this spot. So I think I went with decision on my best bets and props article. But in terms of just parlaying him straight up, I'm sure you can find something else on the cards you can put it with and get a decent enough bet that way as well.
Yeah, couldn't agree more on the parlay piece there. I think Jake, as weird as it sounds, is one of the more safe picks on the entire card. Sounds so weird saying that, but it's kind of true. Propaholic saying Collier inside the distance plus 120. Harrison saying round 3 decision prop, not terrible. Lucas saying Barnett is winning this one. Flo saying Collier by KO. Lucas saying Barnett is a dog. He is definitely a dog. He's a plus 375 dog. And then Lou Betcha saying Collier by Twister plus 10,000. You need to give me like plus 20,000 for that. But he's saying it should be plus 120. So take that as you will. All right. We will keep moving on. We have, Dennis Tuluin going against Jamie Pickett. Not a big fan of Jamie Pickett fights. They're typically, very slow paced, very boring fights. So I'm not getting my hopes up too much for this one, but I'm hoping, Dennis can come in here and make this an exciting one. Locke, which way are you leaning on this fight?
Man, you wouldn't catch me grabbing any Jamie Pickett at chalk of any sort, even if he's minus 120. I mean, the only way I would back him is if he would give me a plus return or a plus money return. But like this fight stylistically seems like a good enough one for him to go out there and just do Jamie Pickett shit, right? Take him, push him up against the cage, break away, throw a couple shots, push him up against the cage again. Like just do the whole Jamie Pickett thing. Dennis could be live in the sense that he is the better striker here, but I think his only path would likely be to win this fight by knockout. And as we see there, Tululin by knockout is plus 300. I'd rather take that than take his money line because I think that Pickett is the better minute winner in this spot. I think he'll be stronger. And just like another fighter later on in this card, the lack of talent is made up by their physical attributes. And that's what Jamie Pickett and why Jamie Pickett has made it as far as he has in the MMA world, because he is just so physically gifted. So he almost has like a similar body type to Phil Davis from back in the day, right? It's insane how big and jacked this guy is, but he uses it effectively. So I'm going to take the Jamie Pickett side here, Pickett by decision, but the over 2.5 at -140 isn't that bad either. I'm seeing -120 there on best fight odds as well, but I think we see this fight go the distance, and I think we see Pickett get his hand raised by decision.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a likely outcome. For me, there was a spot that kind of stuck out. It is Dennis Tuolumne. Scorecards equals no action. On FanDuel, they have it as decision, no bet. And they have that at plus money, plus 110. My thinking on it is, if there's a finish in this fight, I do think it's more likely to come from the Dennis side, and it is plus money. But yeah, I could obviously see this fight playing out very boring. Like I said, most Jamie Pickett fights where Jamie Pickett kind of just makes this a grinding fight, pushes Dennis against the cage, maybe takes him down here or there. But like I said, Dennis is going to come out there. He has an 89% finish rate, all those coming by knockout. He's going to look to take off Jamie Pickett's head. And at plus money, I don't mind that. Obviously, scorecards equals no action. If the fight does go the distance, the bet is voided. And if Dennis does win inside the distance, that bet does hit. And I just think Dennis has more of a plus 110 chance to, if there's a finish in this fight, I think it's more so on his side. I just don't think Jamie Pickett is as much of a finisher. And when Dennis is typically losing, it's by submission. Just don't really see Jamie Pickett taking this guy down and submitting him. So Dennis Tuolumne, scorecards equals no action, plus 110. FanDuel Sportsbook is the way I'm looking. You're kind of looking at that over, that Pickett by decision, which I think, both solid ways to play this, honestly.
I do want to just quickly address one of the comments there by Darian Johnson saying, considering the question marks, I think you got to hit that plus money, or you could just pass on the fight all in all, right? Like, you don't have to hit the plus money if you're not completely sold on the Dennis Tuolumne side either.
Yeah, I think passing is probably the best move on any Pickett fight. Propaholic saying Pickett hates pressure. Yeah, he hates a lot of things. Wallace saying Dennis third round indecision. Sean saying Pickett sucks. I mean, I can't really disagree with that. Dennis decision no action bet is actually not a bad play. I mean, he had a plus money. It could be worth a shot. Isaac saying draw plus 6,600. Why not? All right, we'll move on to the next fight. We have a more exciting fight. We have Jailton Almeida going against Anton Turkalj, and I think the under 1.5 makes a lot of sense here. At least it did earlier in the week. I remember seeing it at like plus 105, plus 100. Ended up passing on that. It's now minus 165. But yeah, Jailton Almeida, 16 professional wins, all 16 of them coming under 1.5 rounds. So he's a minus 700 favorite. The odds are he does win this fight and does win under 1.5. Minus 165, a little bit too chalky for my liking, but I think that hits. But the bet I'm going to actually go with is going to be the Jailton Almeida to win by knockout. It has been hit hard today, especially overnight. It was like plus 300 yesterday, but still, you got plus 250 here for the Almeida KO. And my thinking on this one is we have Almeida to win inside the distance is minus 315. He's heavily favored to win inside the distance. And I think the KO is just as live as the sub. Like, I think it's 50-50. Pick your poison. I could very well see a Jailton Almeida, TKO finish win where, he's just pounding on Turkalj and the ref steps in. Of course, I can see the sub as well, but the sub, you're laying chalk on it. You're laying minus 110 on DraftKings, minus 120 on BetOnline for that sub, whereas the KO, which I think is just as likely, you're getting around plus 225, plus 250. So if anything, it's plus 250 on the Almeida KO for me. I don't mind the under 1.5. It's chalky, but I think it hits. I'm not playing it personally. But yeah, I think Almeida smashes this guy and does it in the very first round. Locke, what are your thoughts on this fight?
I do like the approach that you're taking with Almeida by TKO, right? Like when you have a guy that has ground dominance, like Chimaev, that we'll be talking about it later in this fight, or anybody that gets the majority of their finishes on the ground. Either one of those finishes are on the table, whether it's a ground and pound or whether it's a submission. So if you get in, solid plus money, especially like plus 225, plus 250 on the TKO, I wouldn't mind taking that side either. Personally, for me, I still feel there's question marks out there about Jailton, like what he looks like should this fight get past the first round. And honestly, like out of the 3 total fights that Jailton will have had in the UFC, Anton might be the toughest in terms of this guy is actually, a solid wrestler. This guy actually has some good grappling. And I've been seeing it all, over the last couple of days, breaking down this fight and everybody just saying, Anton sucks. Just look at his performance on the Contender Series. There's a difference between sucking and being boring. He was boring. but he did not suck. He dominated that guy. He controlled that guy for the majority of 15 minutes. And if I'm not mistaken, I could be off on this, but apparently Jailton went to a grappling decision with the guy that Anton beat on the Contender Series.
Yeah.
So if he can be competitive with that guy, maybe Anton has some success here. The only action I'm going to have on this fight, so I'm not going to be betting it pre-flop, but what I'll be looking for is the live betting entry on Anton going into round 2. I have question marks on Jailton's cardio, and considering how much he bursts early in his fights, this guy does start to slow down later in his fights, right? People don't want to think about what happens should fights go deeper into fights. They're like, oh, this guy's going to smash him in the first round. That's it. We don't have to even think about it any further than that. That's what happened to David Onama a couple of weeks ago as well, right? Everybody's like, oh, he's going to knock out Nate Landwehr in the first. We don't have to worry about what happens in the second and third rounds. It's possible on the table here. Like Anton has some legitimate grappling accolades and wrestling that could make him a little bit liver in this fight. I'm not the chump that's going to go out there and, bet the plus 500 on Anton pre-fight here. I would rather wait for that live entry to save any money in case Jailton does go out there and actually get it done in the first. Given the short notice nature of this fight, given the hype and everything that Jailton is riding right now, I do agree that he'll likely win this fight in the first round. Do you mind scrolling down and just seeing what the Jailton round 1 is? Because I think that would be the best way to go about it.
It is. They have the KO there.
Yeah, that's weird.
There
there it is.
Plus
so even money, I really think that's the best way that he wins this fight. Because again, given how hard he goes early in fights, this guy is going to slow down if it reaches into the second round. And Anton has shown that he has the cardio to go a full 50 minutes of a grueling pace if he needs to, and he would be fine. So either Jailton pre-flop round 1 or live entry on Anton going into round 2. And I can't wait to see the comments in terms of ragging on your boy for even giving a plus 500 a chance. Call me an idiot, call me a crazy man, but I cashed on Nate Landwehr a couple weeks ago, and I'm happy with that.
Yeah, and I'm sure you're on a island on that fight as well. So, yeah, and I agree. I think you take a look at this from a live betting standpoint. I also agree that Jailton Almeida probably does finish this guy in the first round. And yeah, that's kind of a hot take from you thinking that Turkalj had a good performance in the Contender Series, but I completely agree. People are crapping on him for that fight, but for me, I know we both look into Contender Series, and me at least, I watched all this guy's fights. I never seen him go past a round and a half. He's going out there and starching these guys. The last thing I expected was Anton Turkalj to come in there and complete 11 takedowns in that fight and go 15 minutes and look very good doing it. So I came away impressed. I thought this guy was just going out there and knocking out these guys early, but he showed just a completely different part of his game that I've never seen with 11 takedowns on the Contender Series, which I believe that was a record for the division. So, yeah, I'm impressed with the guy as well. I don't think he's a bum at all. But Almeida, I think Almeida is very good. I think Almeida is a prospect that I'm very high on. A lot of people are very high on, and I think he does run through Turkalj here, but I'm excited to see Turkalj in the future when he has a matchup that is not Jailton Almeida. So yeah, give me that knockout prop, but he could very well submit him as well. But yeah, first round plus 105 is not a bad look. Ben saying, give me Almeida Anton to complete the first round. It's gonna be a sweat. But yeah, it is minus 110. Wade saying Jailton TKO or sub minus 280 on DK. I think that's the best line out there. Lou saying Almeida by prison stuff. My goodness. We have
y'all got some savages in here, Brady.
I know. Jailton KO plus 250 and Jailton sub minus 110. A double hedge free roll action. Yeah, as long as he does finish the fight, you will win some money there. Let's see here. Respect to the pleasure man for the short notice and putting his 8-0 record on the line. Yeah, absolutely. Respect to him. But still Almeida all day. Yeah, I think so as well. And I think we're all caught up and we can move on to the next fight, which I don't know about you, but I think this is my favorite prelim on the entire card. I think this fight is going to be very, very fun. We have Akeem Dawodu going against Julian Erosa. We did see Dawodu miss weight for the very first time in his career, not typically a guy that misses weight. And I saw him weigh in. I thought, man, he looks really good. He looks completely shredded. And then I heard the weight called and he was over by, I think, 3.5 pounds. So I'm not sure what happened there. Not sure that's going to affect him. But yeah, Locke, we have another Canadian here. So let's see your thoughts on this one. Who you liking?
Yeah, this is the Canadian I'll actually back, right? Like I think that he is a legit talent. You know, his kickboxing, his Muay Thai, it's off the charts. He's very disciplined. Really doesn't take many risks, right? And that's always the issue when you try to back Hakeem Dawadu at minus 200 or above, is that like he never has these fight defining moments. He never really has these big moments where he's hurting guys really bad and putting them down and getting close to finishing them. He's just edging them out ever so slightly. And I think that's like the reason as to why people usually think that his opponents, if they're big favorite or underdogs, they usually have a shot or they can make it close. Sure, they can make it close, but they're always going to be behind in terms of like the 1-2 combinations that Hakeem Dawadu is always going to be throwing. And I don't mean like the jab cross. I just mean like 1 or 2 combinations you'll always be ahead by at certain points in this fight. Julian Erosa leaves a lot of question marks in regards to his striking defense. Right, he leaves a lot of openings that Dawadu will be able to take advantage of. And I think that he'll be able to take full advantage here. I see a lot of people, trying to do the under 2.5 or the fight doesn't go to decision here. My only concern, similar to Jake Collier, Hakeem Dawadu is a guy that is okay with winning decisions. He doesn't really put his foot on the gas to try to get guys out of there. And Erosa does leave those openings to get those those openings and capitalize on them. But even if he does clip him and see that he's hurt, I don't see him being that guy that's going to chase after him and try to get that finish. Julian Rosa is always dangerous no matter what. Say what you want about his skill set, say what you want about his career, but the guy is a solid fighter all around. Very unorthodox striking style, but the fact that he always leaves his hands so low is the reason why he gets hit as much as he did or does. And I think that's going to be the same thing here against Dawadu. No bet on me from me on this fight, but if I were to take a shot, it would likely be Dawadu by decision, which I think hangs around plus 140-ish, plus 150 or so. But yeah, I think he styles on Rosa here, outstrikes him, and wins this fight over 15 minutes.
All right, so Dawadu by decision is plus 165. We will agree on the winner, but kind of disagree on the method here. If you guys follow me on Twitter, DFS_numbers, I actually posted a video of my prediction on this fight. I can't bring it up now because I'm not logged into Twitter, but basically the video is it's street beefs where these two guys are fighting, and one guy has completely no striking defense at all, and he looks like he's never been in a fight before. His hands completely down. The other guy knocked him down bad. He got back up, and same thing. It looked like he was in a UFC game and his controller died and he just got hit in the face and knocked out cold. That's kind of how I see this fight playing out. Julian Erosa, I mean, this guy, his striking defense is not there. He eats 6.5 strikes per minute. He's been knocked out 5 times, 4 in the UFC. And I agree that Dawadu isn't a finisher thus far in the UFC. Julian Erosa, I think, is going to bring the type of fight out of him where there are going to be finish opportunities. He is going to eat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 significant strikes to give a couple here. And I don't know what it is. Like Dawadu, when you watch him, he hits hard. These guys just aren't going down. But I think if he connects clean on Erosa a couple times, I think he very well can put him down. And Erosa is a very dangerous finisher in his own right. He has like an 85% finish rate. If Erosa was to pull off the upset, I think he finishes. So I think the finish for Dawadu is going to be very live here because I think Erosa is going to give him some opportunities here. Blocking punches with his face is just not a good path to victory for Erosa. I think Dawadu does knock him out, but I'm going to go with the fight doesn't go. Minus 106 at the moment. It was plus money earlier in the week. Some money's came in on it. Just because this is a Julian Erosa fight, I think it's going to be a war, and I think there's going to be many opportunities for the finish. So I'm hoping Dawadu can get his finishing going and get another knockout on his record. He has 1 in the UFC thus far. Hoping it becomes 2 here. And we will see what happens. But I cannot wait for this fight. It's one of the more exciting fights on the entire card.
Let me just toss in a quick story here real quick in terms of how I came across Hakeem Dawadu. Mike Malott, obviously you guys have seen him on his record, but Mike Malott obviously in the UFC now, highly touted prospect. But I used to help out with some regional MMA shows up here in Ontario, and Mike Malott was one of the guys we had on our show, but we had so many opponents fall out from him because he was this highly touted prospect that everyone's like, yo, this guy's the next, GSP, this guy's going to be the greatest thing that came out of Canada the next time. And when he pretty much killed a guy on our show, like a minute and a half and stuff. I destroyed the guy. And his next fight was in the WSOF against this guy I've never heard of, Hakeem Dawadu. So I told all my boys, yo, tune into WSOF. Mike Malott, he's about to murder another dude. Go watch this fight. And then Hakeem Dawodu comes out there and knocks him out in like 2 minutes. I'm like, oh shit. Maybe I should have paid attention to the other side a little bit too. But both guys, Hakeem and Mike, having tremendous success inside the UFC thus far. And I'm glad that they both made it to the big stage. Mike Malott a little bit longer than I would have liked, given that long layoff that he's been on. But I'm glad to see both these guys on the biggest stage because I still think they have bright futures to this point.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think Dawada's a very good fighter, and Malott made his debut and looked very good doing so with that first round finish. Can't wait to see him back. It's been a while since we've seen Mike Malott. We got Dan Goldstein in the chat saying, got violence here early in the week at plus money. I'm right there with you, Dan. We got Uncle Weezy in the chat. What is up, Uncle Weezy? Saying, fellas, such a crazy couple of days it's been. Good luck, everyone, on all your bets. Good luck to you as well, Uncle Weezy. It has certainly been a crazy couple of days. Goulash saying, love the inside the distance play. Keen saying Dawadu round 3 KO, crazy odds. Have to sprinkle a little bit on that. Let's see what Dawadu by round 3 KO is, and that is plus 1,200, 1,600 around there. Wow. Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. That'd be a very good call there. We got Lou on the Rosa side.
Dan Goldstein with one of the comments of the stream here.
Well, what is it?
The one right under this one that you got pulled up.
Bro, Wolfie ain't a bad bet. Women's MMA, and she's on the kale and the nutrient. Yeah, shout out to Dan. I don't know if Dan's in your chat as well.
Oh, he hops in every now and then. That guy's the fucking beast. I love him.
He is the GOAT of just comments that a lot of them shouldn't be read on air. Yeah. But I try my best to like proofread Dan Goldstein every time I see time I see a comment. But yeah, he's probably the funniest guy I've seen in any chat there.
He's great. He's great.
Absolutely. All right, guys, we have 514 of you in here. If you guys can all leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. I do go live every Saturday for some best bet. I'm here with MMA Lock of the Night. If you guys do not know Lock, which I'm sure most of you do, he has a Twitter, he has a YouTube. That YouTube is down in the description below. Go show him some love and subscribe to him as well. We're about to move on to the main card, which, of course, as all of you guys know, there has been a major switch up. 3 new fights. Can't wait to break down these 3 new fights and hear Lock's thoughts here. But we will start with the first fight on this main card. We have an absolute banger. Ion Cutelaba going against Johnny Walker. Lock, I'll kick this one to you. What a great fight we have to kick off this pay-per-view card.
Yeah, what a light heavyweight fight indeed, for sure. But I can't get behind the money line here on the Ion Cutelaba side. I get it. The only reason he's minus 210 or minus 200 in this spot is because he can find that chin of Johnny Walker and put him out, right? Johnny Walker, the big knock on him has been his durability, his fragility, if that's what you want to call it as well. Like anytime you touch him on the chin, it seems like he's going to go down. And Ion is absolutely capable of landing that big shot. But similar to the Jailton Almeida fight, I want to look past that. If Cutelaba can't get that knockout, how is this fight going to play out? Can he go to the game plan that he had against Devin Clark and look to take him down and grind him out that way? Maybe, but as we saw in his last fight against Ryan Spann, he struggled to hold a much bigger man down. He landed 3 takedowns in 2.5 minutes and still got choked out for his efforts because he couldn't keep Ryan Spann down. Is he going to keep Johnny Walker down, who's pretty much a bigger version of Ryan Spann? Probably not. So I see both of those kind of things going out the window. Got to believe that Johnny Walker is live in the spot to even possibly get a KO of his own. We keep forgetting that he came into the UFC with all this hype and all these big knockout victories, and everybody's like, this guy's the next light heavyweight champion. And then he shows his flaws and, has been having a pretty tumultuous run over his last 5 or 6 fights. But I do like the Cutelaba side still here. It's tough to truly say, take the even money shot on Cutelaba by knockout at minus 110. That's just not juicy enough for me to lay the chalk there. But that should be the result of this fight. I think Cutelaba finds that chin of Walker, puts him down. I saw a guy, Clint, shout out to Clint, took a shot on Johnny Walker money line at plus 170. And I know he's going to get a lot of hate for it, but from a money line perspective, I think Walker is the side. Walker is more athletic. He's way bigger. Definitely won't get held down. And if his durability holds it up at all, he's going to be very live in this fight. So I completely understand the underdog shot on Johnny Walker. I just can't get past that chin and the durability issue. So the pick is going to be Cutelaba. I guess the best bet, if that's what you want for this matchup, would be Cutelaba by KO, minus 110. I'm not sure what the Cutelaba round 1 KO is, but I'm assuming it's slightly a little bit juicier, which would be nice. And I'd rather take a shot on that than taking minus 110. We got Plus 235, plus 200 for Kutalaba round 1 KO. I would rather bet that than anything in this spot. But Johnny Walker is absolutely live in this spot.
Absolutely. I cannot agree more. Yeah, I like your breakdown a lot. And I think that, yeah, this money line is kind of nuts. For me, I would line it, a lot closer, for the reason being is I think somebody's getting knocked out here, and somebody's getting knocked out probably within the first round. Um, yeah, and I think people that are expecting Kutalaba to come out here and, wrestle for 15 minutes are going to be pretty disappointed. Kutalaba, his wrestling is very good. I like it. But, his control is just non-existent. We saw Dustin Jacoby just pop right back up. We saw Devin Clark pop right back up. He's getting all these takedowns, but that's because he's not holding these guys down. Same thing with Ryan Spann, who's huge. Walker's 6'6". Walker is a monster. He's very hard to take down, very hard to hold down. And if Kutalaba does go in here with the game plan of taking down Walker, which I think he will, is he going to be able to do that for 15 minutes without completely gassing out? We saw him gas out bad in the Jacoby fight. So could Kutalaba knock out Johnny Walker in the first round? Absolutely. But I think somebody's getting knocked out here. And for that reason, I do lean with the dog here and Johnny Walker. And I do lean with a Johnny Walker by KO, which is sitting at plus 300. I think both guys are very chinny. Johnny Walker's been knocked out twice in the UFC. Kutalaba's been knocked out twice in the UFC. Both guys have been hurt a ton in the UFC. These guys are going to throw down. I think Walker can catch him early. I think Walker can catch him late if Kutalaba does slow down. But I'm leaning with the Walker side, plus 300 by knockout. But somebody's getting served here, and somebody's getting served probably in the very first round. So it should be a fun fight as long as it lasts, but I'm more so on the Walker side, that plus 300. Get Darshchoke saying fight to not start round 2. That is sitting at plus 100. I think that hits for you there. Goulash saying, I think Walker and Kutalaba both belong in mental wards. My goodness. Parlay it inside the distance. I mean, you're probably not wrong, especially Kutalaba. That guy's nuts. DXJC saying, this is the type of fight where Ion gasses out after round 1. Johnny spends 10 extra minutes fainting thanks to SBG Ireland, and everyone betting violence goes home crying. Hey, you never know. We got Andrew with the donation, $2, saying, hi, Brady and Manpreet. Any parlays on this card? I personally do not have any parlays. Locke, you have any parlays for this card?
I don't. I've been kind of staying away from the parlays, like in terms of official bets or anything like that. But yeah, no.
Yep, no parlays for us, but I think there are some solid parlay pieces. I think, like we said, Jake Collier is a good parlay piece. That's about it for me. I think Jake Collier is a good parlay piece. I don't know who I'd parlay with him, but I think Jake Collier is a good.
Maybe the Hamzat and Holland fight doesn't go to decision, or Jake Collier, like they were saying. Yeah, those are the ones, really.
Yeah, something like that. Let's see here. Uncle Weezy saying someone is definitely getting served. That is the absolute truth there. Johnny Walker blaming his chin on weed. Did he blame his chin on weed, or was he blaming his performance?
His performances, he was blaming it on weed and all that, which I don't get, man. We all know at this point in time, it's just a cop-out. That's all it is. He's just trying to find something to put blame in and blame it on, like, okay, it's because of weed that I'm getting knocked out. Nah, dog, you're just getting knocked out. Be better. Be better.
I got knocked out by Jamal Hill because I was smoking some weed. Okay,
exactly.
Like it. All right, Johnny Walker. Let's see if no weed helps you out here. All right, I'll move on to the next fight. We have some more women's MMA, so I'm curious to your thoughts on this one, Locke, because I actually do have a bet on this one. We have Irene Aldana going against Macy Chiasson, and at first, earlier in the week, I looked at this matchup and I said, no way am I betting this fight. I'm not even thinking about betting this fight. And this was actually the last fight I looked into. But after looking into it, I actually really like the Aldana side. I will say this, though. The whole, weigh-in shenanigans is something that I'm not too happy about. Obviously, the extra 5 pounds does favor Macy Chiasson. This is a catchweight fight now at 140 pounds. Chiasson weighed in at 139.5. Aldana weighed in at 137.5. I knew something weird was going to happen with Chiasson at the weigh-ins. It seems like she always misses weight, or something always goes wrong with Chiasson at the weigh-ins there. So kind of, expected that to happen, but I still think it's a really good matchup for Aldana here. Aldana, 84% takedown defense. She's going to be the much better striker. It's not even close. She's shown a ton of power as of late. And Macy Chiasson, she does slow down as the fight goes on. I think Aldana can stuff the takedowns. If she does get taken down, her get-up game is very good. And I think this fight, as long as it's at range, she's going to just have a field day here against Macy Chiasson. Of course, Chiasson's going to want to use her size. And at the weigh-ins, I was kind of surprised. Aldana was almost as tall as Chiasson, which typically you see Chiasson towering over these fighters at this weight class. So I am on the Aldana side. I can't really pick a method. I could see a decision, maybe a late finish. I'm just going to go with the money line at minus 170. It has moved a little bit since I placed the bet. I placed it at minus 160, but I think it's a really good matchup for Aldana. But yeah, Locke, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. I'm heavy on the Aldana side on this one. Earlier in the week, I got her at minus 169. Yeah, Macy Chiasson, like similar to what I was saying about Jamie Pickett, they make up for their lack of skill with their physicality, and that's why Macy Chiasson is winning a lot of her fights. Like you go and even going back to the Shanna Young fight, like she's just muscling her way into these positions, and even so much so to the point that she's overextending and falling off in these bad positions. Like Norma Dumont, we saw it. Like as soon as she started to turn it on, Macy Chiasson had almost nothing for her. There's so many instances in those first 2 rounds of Chiasson and Dumont where Chiasson's just pulling her up against or pushing her up against the cage, and there's room for her to dig the underhook, but she's refusing to do that. Luckily, with the Irene Aldana side, in all of the fights I watch of hers, she's very persistent in terms of digging underhooks, getting her back off the cage, and then getting back into open space and getting her best work done. I see a lot of people, kind of making a case for the Chiasson side because of the 5 takedowns that Holly Holm landed. But Holly Holm, mainly known as a striker, but has a very underrated wrestling game. We've seen her go to it when she needs to, and she's very successful in doing so. You want to talk about physicality? Holly Holm is probably one of the strongest women in this division, or even near this 135, 145 pound division. We see the videos of her pushing weight and fucking always, trying to get stronger and stronger as fights go on, or as long as her career goes on. And there's a reason that you saw to test her as much as they do, because she looks like a freak athlete, but it's because she's actually putting the work in, right? So that's why she's able to overpower Irene Aldana, close the distance with her superior striking, and get those fights to the ground. But here are some number, you guys are the stat diggers, but let me get some numbers out there to chew on for you guys. Total takedowns against Irene Aldana. There have been 7 on 45 attempts that people have been able to land takedowns, right? 5 of those coming from Holly Holm. So take out the Holly Holm fight. We're talking 2 takedowns landed on 31 attempts. Macy Chiasson's decent, but she doesn't have the technical wrestling advantage here at all. Well, she has a wrestling advantage in the fact that she wrestles, where Irene Aldana is completely fine with just striking on the feet. So she doesn't really have the technical aspects of wrestling. She just muscles everything. And with how, like I said, persistent Aldana is within making sure that she gets out of those bad positions, it's going to be very hard for Chiasson to make up those gaps by trying to outstrike her, because Aldana is definitely the much better striker here. So I went pretty big on Aldana in this spot, but I do also have a little bit of a sprinkle on Aldana at via KO, which I personally got at plus 450. Now it's around that plus 300, plus 400 mark. Still think there's value there. She's the much better striker. She's eventually going to catch her with the counter, and she's going to get her out of there. But most of my action on the money line here, Aldana rolls. I'll be surprised if she loses this at all.
All right, looks like we're seeing eye to eye. We both are on the Aldana side. So yeah, glad we're on the same page there. And Uncle Weezy brings it up. Has anyone ever seen Macy Chiasson and Justin Bieber in the same ring? I posted the tweet yesterday. I mean, these, Justin Bieber and Macy Chiasson look exactly the same. And I have a PSA. Justin Bieber, you are not fooling anyone. I mean, you could fool, everybody else. You're not fooling me, Justin Bieber. We know exactly what you are doing, coming in here into the UFC, trying to get a win here against Irene Aldana. I don't know if it's going to work out. So Justin Bieber, if you're watching this, which I'm sure you are, we're on to you. We are absolutely on to you.
Shout out to the Canadian. Shout out to the Canadian Justin Bieber.
Gotta love some Justin. I've also heard Dan was calling Chiasson MGK, which I could totally see it. I could totally see it.
Who's a soccer player? Somebody said in the comment section as well. Rapinoe or something. Megan Rapinoe, I think her name was. Kind of the same.
Oh yes. So, but yeah, Justin Bieber, you're not fooling anybody there. All right, we will move on to the next fight, and we have one of the 3 new fights on the card. We have Daniel Rodriguez going against Li Jingliang. Rodriguez, he is minus 170. Li Jingliang is going to be plus 145. For me, I think it's a close fight, and I want to take a look at the opener here. Rodriguez opened at minus 150, so not much line movement on this one. I think it's a close fight. You have the volume of Daniel Rodriguez. The guy is landing over 8 significant strikes per minute. You have the power of Li Jingliang. This guy has a ton of power. He's going out there. He's knocking guys out. He's not only going out there and knocking guys out, but he's knocking out very durable guys. Muslim Salikov, that was the first time he's been knocked out. Eliza Zaleski dos Santos is a very durable guy. He knocked him out. He knocked out Ponzinibbio, who has a very good chin as well. So D-Rod is a very durable guy. So In terms of a money line, I'm not laying minus 170 on Daniel Rodriguez. In terms of a bet, this is going to be terrifying. And I do not have a bet on this fight, by the way. But if anything, I would honestly lean to the over 2.5 rounds at minus 150. I think this one does go over. This fight, where both fighters are very durable. The Leech, he's been dropped, I think, 5 or 6 times in the UFC, but he's never been knocked out. Daniel Rodriguez, I think he has around 18 professional fights. He's never been knocked out. And not only does he have 18 professional MMA fights, Daniel Rodriguez has a ton of prison fights. He's never been knocked out in prison. He's never been knocked out in the streets. So hundreds of fights for Daniel Rodriguez. Nobody's ever been able to knock him out. Could that change here? Absolutely. The Leech hits like a complete truck. But I'm going to bank on the durability of both guys. Both guys never been knocked out. Give me the over. It's going to be terrifying, though. These guys are going to throw down. But I will rely on the durability here ever so slightly, and that is the bet I would go with. But like I said, I do not have a bet on this one. Locke, what are your thoughts on this fight here?
Not often do I bet overs, and for some reason, the 2 times that I've chosen to bet overs have come down to Li Jingliang fights. The over in Santiago Ponzinibbio doesn't cash for me there. The over in the Muslim Salikov fight doesn't cash for me there. I am not going back to the well, Brady. I am not doing that once again to myself here. But I am going to go with that earlier narrative that you were drawing up here with Lee, being the first knockout loss on a couple guys' records. I do think he ends up getting the knockout here against Daniel Rodriguez. And I do have a 1-unit play on Li Jingliang as my dog of the night play at plus 142. Yes, Rodriguez should be the favorite. Yes, Rodriguez has more tools in his toolbox. He throws in combinations. He's a good southpaw. He uses his kicks, uses his elbows, uses everything. But the one thing that's constant is that he needs to exchange with you in the pocket to have his success. Li Jingliang is salivating at the mouth for you to exchange in the pocket with him so that he can throw his big shots and land those as well. I think he lands that big shot on Daniel Rodriguez here, and I think he puts him down. He puts him out. Lee KO is plus 330 right now. But even his money line at plus 150, in case he lands multiple knockdowns and then eventually wins his fight by decision, you're better off just taking the money line spot here, in my opinion. I love the Leech, right? In terms of his ability to just starch guys and put them out. I gave Tony Ferguson a little bit more of a chance against the Leech just because of his unorthodox movement and ability to just be on the outside and maybe mix in some takedowns and wrestling and all that. But with Daniel Rodriguez, we see fight and fight again that he has to be in the pocket to land his shots and land his combinations. The reason, in my opinion, that he lost the Dalby fight, you can say that he deserved to win that fight, but he was struggling with guys that were fighting him at range and using that kicking, which would Dalby was, and what Kevin Holland would have likely used if they were still matched up tonight. But Li Jingliang and him are going to trade in the pocket. One of these guys are going to go down, and in my opinion, it's going to be the Leech who lands a knockdown here and knocks him out. So give me the Leech via knockout, my friend.
Leech knockout looks like it is plus 340 on FanDuel. And yeah, I mean, it wouldn't shock, really, would it shock anybody if he went out there and knocked out Daniel Rodriguez? Like I said, he's knocked out very durable guys before. And yeah, I'll be rooting for the Leech. I'll definitely be rooting for the Leech. Big fan of the Leech. Really big fan of both guys. I think this can be a fun fight. I don't have any money on it. I'm just going to sit back and watch it. We got Cad saying Lee round 1 KO 10-1. We got Glenn saying a D-Rod volume might get this done. DXJC saying the fight going over 2.5 and the Leech is still getting the KO 100%. Interesting take there. We got Dan Goldstein saying the Leech deserves this win. That suit needs to be worn in a post-fight presser. Absolutely agree with you on that one, Dan. Glenn saying D-Rod by decision. And then Sean agreeing D-Rod by decision. Yeah, I think if this does go to decision, it could be close as well. You have the power of Leech. You have the volume of D-Rod. I think it's going to be a very close fight. Saying D-Rod all day, easy money. They should allow him to fight in his suit. I'd be down for that. Don't know how well that would work out for him though.
They should let him wear it like after he wins in the cage. Like let him just
put it on and do the post fight speed. Yeah, I like it. All right, we'll move on to probably the one of the more interesting fights on the card. We have Kevin Holland going against Khamzat Chimaev. As everybody knows, Holland was supposed to fight Rodriguez. Chimaev was supposed to fight Diaz. This fight is so much better than the Chimaev-Diaz fight. For one, we had Chimaev as a minus 1,800 favorite. And I think this fight is going to be more competitive. Is it going to be the same result? Potentially. I think that's very much on the table. I was expecting Chimaev to go out there and finish Diaz within 10 minutes. And I think that is very much, could be the case here in this fight. But this is a 5-round fight, which I think makes it a little bit more interesting. Like if this was a 3-round fight, I would probably be backing the truck up on Chimaev here at minus 500. But I just have a weird feeling like if this fight does reach the over 2.5 round mark, the third round, the fourth round, the fifth round. If this fight does get extended, I think it's going to get very interesting. From the narrative things, right? Like Chimaev was cutting weight. The doctor said, something was up with him. So he had to stop cutting weight. Like if he's coming in here compromised, if he had a bad weight cut, he's compromised. What does he look like if this fight does reach that third, fourth, and fifth round? Is he going to be fresh? And we saw in the Burns fight, the first time he did go over 1.5 rounds, he was very, very tired. He was obviously able to push through it. Burns was even more tired than him. I think the most likely scenario is Chimaev wins this fight in the first 3 rounds. But I'm just saying that this fight does get extended. I think Holland is going to be very live. I will be taking a look at this fight from a live betting standpoint in the third, fourth, and fifth round on the Kevin Holland side. I'll give out 2 props for this one because I think there are some interesting ways to play this. The first prop is on FanDuel Sportsbook and Bovada. That prop is going to be Khamzat Chimaev to win in either round 1, 2, or 3, and that sits at plus 100. It just makes no sense to me. Chimaev is a minus 600 favorite, and he is what? Chimaev inside the distance is minus 200. You're getting those first 3 rounds at plus 100. Honestly, I'd be shocked if he finished Holland like late in the fight. I don't think that's on the table there. So if Chimaev does win, which he probably does, it is in the first, second, or third round, it's plus 100. The second way I'm looking at playing this fight is I'm going to get a little crazy here. I think these Holland late round props are just too juicy to pass up. Holland to win in round 5 plus 6,000. Holland to win in round 4 plus 4,200. Holland to win in round 3 plus 3,100. I'm not saying these are going to hit, but what I am saying, if this fight does reach the third round and you're holding a Holland third, fourth, and fifth round ticket at these price tags, you're going to feel pretty dang good about it. So I think obviously Chimaev should win this fight within the first 15 minutes, but if not, I think Holland is going to have some opportunities late. Locke, how are you seeing this fight here?
Pretty much the exact same way that you are, man. I'm thinking more so Chimaev by sub, which I think was around plus 220-ish. Holland very squirmy on the ground, very difficult to posture up and get big shots off on and try to get a TKO finish. So I'm hoping that he goes the way, or Chimaev goes the way that he did in the Li Jingliang fight. Just ground and pound until that submission opportunity presents itself. Take the neck, take it on home with you, cash that submission prop. But there is the obvious like live entry on Kevin Holland going into round 4 and 5. But I think that even just betting it pre-flop might be the better way to go, because like how often do we see a plus 300, plus 3,000 on a live line, right? I don't think we're going to get that type of mark. And even if this goes the full distance, Chimaev will likely have done enough in those first 3 rounds, maybe even a 10-8 in the first round or 2, which will likely give him the decision victory. Should it go the full 25 minutes, which I don't think it goes. So the minus 300 fight doesn't go to decision. Not a bad parlay piece either. But at least round 4, round 5, Holland finishes live. So just bet that pre-flop and you're getting the best value possible on Kevin Holland, in my opinion. But I think Chimaev gets him down relative ease. He has been working on his takedown defense, as we all know, going down to Hendrik Stand and all that stuff. But I just don't know if it's going to work out for him here against the best and scariest takedown artist that we have in the UFC right now. It's one thing to go playing the Charlotte Hornets, but now you're getting jumped in there with the Golden State Warriors right off the bat. So it's going to be tough for Kevin Holland to deal with that type of wrestling, and I think that Chimaev just smashes him early. But the best way I looked to go about it was Chimaev by decision at plus 225. Hopefully he gets that rear naked choke.
Yep, and I think if Chimaev does win inside the distance, which I think he more than likely does, it is by submission plus 210. Which is, just got smashed though. Yeah, it was plus 250. It looks like on DraftKings, they still have it at plus. Oh, that got smashed as well. So money is pouring in on that submission prop, and it makes sense. Kevin Holland never been knocked out. Kevin Holland has been submitted twice in his career, once by Brendan Allen. It's not a great look there. For me, it's the 1, 2, 3 for Chimaev plus money plus 100. For you, it's the sub, and then also I do like those Holland 3, 4, 5 round sprinkles. Probaholic saying Chimaev inside the distance and the fight doesn't go. Yep, fight doesn't go is minus 270 on FanDuel Sportsbook. Could be a very solid parlay piece. Brandon saying Chimaev inside the distance, minus 170 plus 2 units there. We got Nick, Boston Nick in the chat. What is up, Nick? How you doing? See if I missed anything. Chimaev round 1 sub plus 700. I think that's on the table. I love the Chimaev sub angle. Just locked it in plus 175. There you go. And I think we are good to get into the main event. All right, the main event, we have Tony Ferguson going against Nate Diaz. Phenomenal fight. I like this fight better than Diaz and Chimaev and Ferguson Leach, and I think this is obviously a more winnable matchup for both guys in this fight. We have Tony Ferguson, who did open up as an underdog, plus 135. He is now minus 155. Diaz opened up minus 155, currently plus 135 here. I'll kick this one to you, Locke. Who are you liking for this main event?
I am leaning with Tony Ferguson in this spot, and I actually got in on him at minus 115 yesterday when it was still hovering around that. I kept seeing it bounce from like minus 130 to minus 120, and then I eventually saw minus 115 on DraftKings, so I jumped on that myself. Nate Diaz, good fighter, good combinations, good cardio and all that. But if there's anybody that's going to be ready for a 5-round war on short notice, it's a guy like Tony Ferguson. And I think he's more than capable of going out there and doing damage the way that we know he can. Out of the 5 fights now that he's going to have post-COVID, this is the easiest one, like comparatively speaking, right? Like this is the easiest fight for him compared to everybody else that he fought. I was thinking about the over here because I do see this going the distance. The only issue that I have is like the blades and shades. Yeah, I mean, like the elbows that we're going to be seeing from Tony Ferguson and how easily Nate Diaz can be cut up. And we've seen that fight, him get or lose to cuts in the past. And Tony Ferguson is absolutely going to be cutting up his face in the spot as well. I'm interested to see how Ferguson looks to attack it, right? Does he go for takedowns? Does he try to, get something going on the ground? Or does he just try to use his unorthodox movement on the feet and try to touch up Nate Diaz from the outside and just chop him up every time they get close? But I think overall, skill for skill, like Ferguson is the better fighter here. Still, I don't care if he's 38 years old. I still think he's the better fighter, as Nate Diaz hasn't really shown us anything good since maybe the Anthony Pettis fight. And then before that, maybe the Michael Johnson fight. Like we know what we're getting with him, and he has a very beatable style. And there's a reason that, Ferguson opened as an underdog and the money came raining in on him the way that it did. So I like the Ferguson side here. I just don't know the method, right? That cut could have happened at any time, and that could force this fight to be stopped, or these guys just go to war for 25 minutes, but Ferguson still ends up on the winning side by just landing the better damage and just being more active in this spot. So, give me El Kukui. No major action, obviously, due to the short notice nature of this fight, but I like Ferguson in the spot.
Yeah, I like Ferguson as well. And yeah, I woke up at like 5 o'clock in the morning last night for some reason. I was checking the lines and it looked like FanDuel just got out all these props. And I saw Ferguson at like minus 115. I don't know if I was dreaming or what, but I saw this line that really stuck out. It was the Ferguson decision, no bet. And the scorecard equals no action. And it was at plus money. It was at plus 108. Like maybe I was dreaming. Maybe I'm getting this wrong. And on Bet Online, it was like minus 160. I was like, should I completely smash this? And I was going to, and then I fell back asleep. I woke up and that line is no longer there. It was now minus 108, but still, I think that is a very good look because I would be shocked if Nate Diaz finished Tony Ferguson. I know Ferguson got knocked out in his last fight by Chandler, but that would have knocked out most people in the division, what Chandler did. It took Gaethje, landing a ton of shots for, I think it was Herb Dean to finally step in that 5th round. Ferguson's durability is still obviously there, and Nate Diaz, I just don't see him knocking out Tony. And Nate Diaz has one submission in the last 10 years. So I think that there is a finish in this fight, and I actually think this fight does go the distance. But if there's a finish in this fight, I think it's much, much, much more likely that it comes from the Ferguson side. Ferguson's a finisher, 80% finish rate. Majority of those come by knockout. And I very well could see like a cut stoppage, a doctor stoppage on the Diaz side. So for me, it's the Ferguson scorecards equals no action, decision, no bet, they call it on FanDuel, minus 108. I think if there's a finish in this fight, it's way more likely that it comes from the Ferguson side. I honestly would be shocked if Diaz went in there and finished Tony Ferguson in any type of way. Any thoughts on that? Do you think that, Ferguson's more likely to finish or what?
I do agree with that, right? There is a question mark in regards to Ferguson's fragility at this point, considering that he's only been 4 months removed since getting flatlined from Michael Chandler. And if there was any time that Nate Diaz was going to knock out anybody, this would probably be the time, right? Perfect intersection of everything happening the way that it is. But I don't know, man. Nate Diaz has never really shown to have much knockout power. He rocked Leon Edwards a little bit in the fight, obviously, but never really got to the window by actually finishing him there. Yeah, I think for the most part, we see Ferguson get a finish if there is a finish at all.
All right, sounds good. So yeah, we broke it all down, 13 fights. So what we're gonna do now is I will be staying on for the remainder of these last 50 minutes up until fight time. But we're gonna send Locke off. Locke, thank you so much for coming on. Let the people know where they can find you, what you have typically going on throughout a fight week. I know you're always very busy, always getting out a ton of content. Plug your stuff.
Appreciate the love as always, my friend Brady. I love talking to you, love chopping it up. You got to get your ass on the Ultimate Wayne Show as well. That is the show that I do on Fridays after the Wayne's wrap up. But considering all the shenanigans from yesterday, I wasn't able to do one, but I still managed to pump out content for those last 3 fights that just got made. But normally, MMA Lawcast, which is my solo podcast that I drop on a weekly basis, that comes out usually Mondays or Tuesdays. Monday through Thursday, I do a show 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern, where I just talk to the chat the entire time. We can talk fights, we can talk TV shows, we can talk whatever the hell you guys want to do. That's the time to do it. And then propping you up every Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern over on the All-Star with me and my guy, Cody Saftik. Like Brady said, I do a lot on a weekly basis. But if you want to follow any of my stuff, check me out on social media at MMA LOTN. And my YouTube channel, like Brady said, is linked in the description below. But if you just search MMA Lock of the Night, you'll be able to find your boy. Appreciate you, Brady. Appreciate you having me on as always. And I can't wait to do this in the very near future, my friend.
Sounds good, man. Best of luck. Hopefully we cash that Aldana ticket.
Let's
Looking forward to that
go.
fight. Let's go, Locke. We'll talk to you soon. And yeah, best of luck, man. Thanks for coming on.
Peace.
All right, guys. So we'll hit up the chat a little bit. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me. We still have about 50 minutes until these prelims kick off, which the first prelim is that Darian Weeks, Johan Lioness fight. So I'll stick around, answer any questions. I try to get to as much comments as possible, but obviously it's hard producing a show, moderating the show, talking about the show. I mean, it's hard doing a lot of the hosting role. It's hard doing a lot of this stuff. So I did miss some questions, some comments, and I'll start bringing those up now to see what you guys have. I do want to shout out Gus here for the $2.99 super sticker. Appreciate you, Gus. It does go a long, long way. Thank you for the support. Thank you for hanging out with me on a Friday. See what you guys are saying in the chat here. Derek's saying Tony's elbows are like razors, and that's why I do like that. The finish only for Ferguson, and it's like even money on FanDuel Sportsbook. I saw that, and I was just tempted to completely smash it. I think if there's a finish, it's on the Ferguson side there. What is up, Nick? How are you doing? Stoked. Yeah, I'm stoked for this card as well. This card is phenomenal. I hope Hamzat is aware of Holland's sneaky power. Yeah, he's going to be aware. I mean, everybody's aware. Holland has no takedown defense. Chimaev is probably going to take him down in the very first fight. Boston Nick saying, who's the most handsome fighter? I don't even think it's debatable. It's not even debatable. It's Justin Bieber. It's Macy Chiasson. She is by far the most handsome fighter. There is not a close second. I mean, we have plenty of handsome fighters on this card, but the most handsome fighter is indeed Macy Chiasson. And like I said, it's not debatable. What is your lock of the night? Yeah, no lock of the night. You probably should have asked Locke that. That's his whole thing. But for me, I don't know. I think my most confident pick is probably Jake Collier, as crazy as that sounds. Would I lay minus 500 on him? No. But as far as a pick, I think I feel most comfortable of Jake Collier going out there and getting the win. What is up, Jason? Saying, what a crazy weigh-in, but it all worked out. Yeah, crazy stuff. Just been a crazy week. Got word of the news, and as soon as I did, I had to go on and create 3 new prediction videos for the 3 new fights. It's just been a very, very hectic week, but looking forward to the fights. Almeida and Hamzat are for sure going to get a finish tonight. I think it's the most likely scenario. I do think if they both win, that's going to be by finish. I'd be shocked. I'd be absolutely shocked if either guy won a decision here in this fight. Tony Moneyline is the best bet. I would have liked it at a better price. So money's pouring in on Ferguson, it looks like, which is a shame. I kind of expected more money to come in on Diaz, but yeah, probably should have pulled the trigger on Ferguson around minus 115. I wanted to kind of sit back and wait, see where the line went, but it went the complete opposite way I was expecting. Do you think a loser will make the optimal lineup in DFS? Short answer, no. But I think what a lot of people are going to do this week is going to be to stack the Diaz and Ferguson fight. You have Diaz 6,600, Ferguson 7,200. It makes it so easy to go up there and get Almeida, Hamzat, Jay Collier, Dumont, Ian Kudalaba, all those plays up there, Dawadu as well. So I think if there is a loser, I think it's probably from the Diaz-Ferguson fight if it does go 5 rounds, which I expect it to, and there is a lot of volume, a lot going on. Reddy saying, how do you feel? I feel good. It's been a rough last 2 weeks. I was dealing with COVID. Was able to get a good workout in today, yesterday, and the day before without completely dying. I tried to do a workout like last week, and I was 20 minutes in, and then after 20 minutes, I was just laying on the floor, just dying. So I'm feeling much, much better. I think I'm like 95% at this point. Would like to get 100%, hopefully by tomorrow or Sunday, or Monday there. But I'm feeling pretty good. We got Glenbot saying, Brady, thank you for all you do. Thank you, Glenbot, for supporting. You're always in the chat. It does go a long way, and we do appreciate that a lot. Laura Senko said Norma Dumont drives a dump truck. Absolutely. If you have not seen the weigh-ins, go check it out. She absolutely does drive a dump truck. Jana Roba versus Diaz for the most handsome mother effer belt. Yeah, and I think pound for pound, those are the most handsome fighters in the UFC. It's hard to think of anyone else. I mean, we used to have some very handsome fighters like Aliyah Shakarova. I thought was very handsome. She got cut. Who was the other one? Sarah Frota was extremely handsome, and she unfortunately got cut as well. But all these handsome fighters are getting cut, and there was another handsome fighter that got cut recently as well. Who was the very handsome fighter that got cut recently? Anyway, but yeah, Janaroba, Chiazon are very handsome. Mesa equals most handsome, hands down. Mesa Chiazon is a very handsome guy. Interesting. Let's see here. Best tournament events ever. NFL could never. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to really top that, right? Wouldn't you stack the main event in cash? Absolutely, I'm stacking it. Absolutely, there's no question about that one. And Hellinger versus Alatanga League goes the distance. I think it does. I think it does. Imagine the Kevin Holland live bet after he loses the first 2 rounds. Yeah, I'm going to be looking at that. I think the more likely scenario is Chimaev does finish him within 12 and a half minutes. But if this fight does get extended, I'll be looking at live betting Kevin Holland. My man Brady going for that weeks over 2.5. It's going to be sweaty, but I think it does hit for you. Collier, D-Rod, or Kudalaba, it's Collier, D-Rod, and it's not even close for me. I have them both in my cash lineup. Total strikes for Diaz, Ferguson. I'm thinking a lot. I think they're both going to throw and land a lot, and I think it does probably go 5 rounds. I heard on the weigh-in show that Chris Barnett's wife died recently. Now he's missed weight on any thought. Yeah, it's extremely sad, obviously. So he's dealing with a ton of things outside the UFC. So yeah, very sad situation for him. It's hard not to root for the guy, but from a betting perspective, it's just a tough matchup for him. So yeah, we want to root for him. Terrible situation, but it's just a very tough matchup for him. And he is one of the biggest dogs in the card. RJ saying, thanks, Brady, for the content. You and Locke are my 2 favorites in the business. We have Jojua. Jojua is not handsome. Come on. She's not handsome. You always making money. That's the goal. Making money is the goal. Hopefully make some money tonight. Who will beat Chimaev's next opponent? Paulo Costa. I want to see him fight freaking. I want to see him fight Colby Covington. I want to see him fight like Kamaru Usman. I want to see him fight some of these guys up in the top 5. Not Nate Diaz. Not Kevin Holland. I mean, they're fun matchups, but I want to see him up in this top 5. I think he is ready for this top 5. Holland by front kick. We got Blues fan 1,700 with the $5 donation. Appreciate you, Blues fan. He's saying, agree with McGregor how they shouldn't have shuffled the card just for one guy. On that note, go Holland. Yeah, I think a lot of people are rooting for Holland. Obviously, he's a big underdog, but people are very upset with Chimaev, and rightfully so. That was a complete mess, very unprofessional thing he did. So we'll see what happens there. Tabitha Ricci is still on the roster, and Tabitha Ricci is fighting Juliana Pena, I think maybe next week. Ariana Carnelosi, by far the most handsome. She's very handsome. I would not say by far, though. How do you like the Holland Chimaev over 1.5 rounds? I think it makes some sense. Could Chimaev finish him in round 1? Absolutely, but I do lean towards this going over. Minus 150, I don't think is terrible, but it's going to be a big sweat. But Kevin Holland is a black belt. Kevin Holland's never been knocked out. I'll say it hits. Not something I'm playing personally, but I'll say it hits. We got Jeremy in the chat saying, what's up, man? What is up, Jeremy? How you doing? We have James saying a Hail Mary parlay. Yeah, I did do a Hail Mary parlay on my article. It's kind of a tough week though for parlays and parlay pieces as a whole. I think there's just not a ton of stuff I feel comfortable with parlaying. Like just winners in general is even hard this week. I think there's some fight doesn't good decision props that are parlayable, but it's kind of a tough week for the parlays. Speaking of reaching an early prediction for her and Penne, I don't know. I like Ricci. I've actually bet Ricci on every single fight thus far. I bet her against who'd she fight last fight, but I bet her last fight, and I bet her against Maria Oliveira in her debut. So I've been cashing on Tabitha Ricci. My plan was to get off the Ricci train eventually, but I don't know. I think this is another winnable matchup for her. So we'll see. And I think she's a favorite, though, so I probably will not be touching it. She's like minus 160 last time I saw him. Diaz, Hamzat, and Lee all by KO. I mean, that's a Hail Mary parlay for sure. I think they all are. I don't know. I think the Lee one is probably the most live. I'm kind of leaning Hamzat by submission. Diaz, I'd be shocked if he knocked out Ferguson, to be honest. Barnett Collier fight ends in KO plus 105. Yeah, I think that's good. All you have to really worry about is the Collier by submission. And yeah, Tommy's saying it. Collier by sub is possible. That is definitely possible. Thoughts on Arosa Dawadu? Fight doesn't go to decision. Yeah, I'm on it. I did bet it at plus 120 earlier in the week. It's now around minus 110, minus 106, around there. I think it's still a good look just because it's a Julian Arosa fight. He blocks punches with his face. I did post a prediction of what that fight's going to look like on my Twitter. Check it out, DFS_numbers. It's my very last post, and that should tell you everything you need to know about Julian Arosa. We got Dip saying, let's get this money. Let's get it. Norma Dumont, plus 2,500 by submission. Is that real? There is no way that is real. And we can take a look, but I don't know what book you have. But yeah, that's not a line. It's plus 360, plus 340 is the best line there. If you had that plus 20, if you do have that plus 2,500, it's definitely worth a look there. Barnett Walker parlay, no. The pleasure man will ruin everyone's day. He won't ruin my day. I have a small bet on Almeida by KO at like plus 360, just ridiculous line there. Don't sleep on Ion. Yeah, I don't think anybody's sleeping on him. He's a minus 200 or so favorite. I think the line's too wide, though. Aldana inside the distance. Yeah, Locke, who's just on here, he thinks Aldana inside the distance is very live. I think it could be live potentially late. I'm kind of more so leaning decision, though. To a Lewin Pickett over 1.5, I think that hits, but you're probably laying a crap ton on that. To a Lewin Pickett over 1.5 is like minus 270. Not something I want to get invested in, but I'll say it hits. Over 2.5 to that is minus 148. I think it probably hits, but Tua Lewin does hit like a truck. Best prelim bet. Yeah, not a ton of confident stuff on these. These prelims are sketchy. I have a lot of like sprinkles here and there. I'll say Jake Collier inside the distance at near plus money is something I'm pretty confident in. But outside of that, just a bunch of sprinkles. Best 4-leg parlay. There is no best 4-leg parlay this week. In terms of money lines, Collier should win. Dumont should win. Outside of those, I don't know. I do not know. I would not be going crazy with the parlays this week. Almeida should win. Do I like Pickett today? I don't like Pickett any day. I do not like Pickett any day at all. So no, I do not like Pickett. Pickett gonna go to sleep. I think that's on the table. Reed moneyline and violence. You think Reed can get takedowns and win? I think it'd be smart for her to go for takedown. She's, for the first time in the UFC, she's going to have the grappling advantage in this fight. Typically, she's at a grappling disadvantage against Sam Hughes, Eubanks, and Corey McKenna. They were all the much better grapplers and had success grappling. I think Reed can maybe turn the tables here, and I think that'd be very wise to do so. Love your honesty, Brady. You're the man. Appreciate you. Hype. Nice seeing you in here. I got a Lee Ferg parlay. I know you don't like Lee, but do you not see him winning at all? No, I think it's a close fight. I think it can really go either way. You have the power of the Leech and you have the volume of D-Rod. The thing that kind of made me lean the D-Rod side, though, is the fact that he's going to land a lot more than Leech, and his chin has held up, not only in the UFC and MMA, but on the streets and in prison as well. The dude's never been knocked out. So I'm leaning slightly Rodriguez, but he's a pretty big favorite. He's like minus 170. I would not lay that price tag on Rodriguez. I'll pick him to win, but from a betting perspective, I think it's more so on the dog or pass side. Lee feeling very underrated for sure. Yeah, he's a decent sized dog. D-Rod outboxes Lee all day. Yeah, I think so, but he's got to watch that big power of Lee. DraftKings has an SGP, same game parlay boost. I think a little Almeida KO over two or over half a round, under 2.5 rounds, plus 450 becomes plus 275. Not terrible. I think that hits. I'm kind of leaning Almeida like a late first round knockout, TKO. This guy's a clown. He's picking Kevin. Yeah, as far as a pick, I'm picking Kevin. I'm not betting him though. I did sprinkle the 3, 4, or 5 round props for Kevin, a tenth of a unit on each because they're just so juicy. But I also did play Chimaev to win in rounds 1, 2, or 3 at plus money, plus 100. I think Chimaev obviously should win this fight. It's a terrible matchup for Holland. I'm just saying that if the fight does get extended, it's going to get very interesting. So you can say I'm a clown all I want, but I'm fully aware Chimaev could finish this guy in 10 minutes. What do you think of Martinez? Not much to think about. We have not seen her in over 1,000 days. I think we're going to learn a lot about Melissa Martinez. Man, somebody's really upset that I'm picking. I mean, it's a prediction. I mean, it's not the end of the world. I mean, you can go out there and bet Chimaev. I'm not, forcing you not to do so. You can bet Chimaev at minus 500. D-Rod will be 190 pounds in the cage today. Yeah, D-Rod is going to be the bigger guy. Good luck to you as well. That is true. That is true. This will be one of his toughest opponents. No doubt about that. Barnett finished. Yeah, if he does win, it's going to be by a finish. Shout out to Uncle Weezy. He was calling a spinning fat kick potentially for Barnett. If he wins, it probably is a spinning fat kick that lands on Jake Collier. I also put a tenth of a unit sprinkle on late Holland finished and 1/4 on the Leech. I love to get some underdog sprinkles in. Yeah, I mean, I'm getting a lot of hate for the 3, 4, 5 round sprinkles, but yeah, if this fight does go into the third round, I'm going to feel pretty good about holding those tickets to the cash, maybe, but we'll see what happens. I'm fully aware Chimaev could very well finish Holland in the first 10 minutes. Like, that's on the tape. I'm not an idiot. I'm not a freaking idiot. Like, Chimaev very well could finish Holland, but if he doesn't, if it gets extended, I think it gets interesting. Hamzat 1 or 2. I do not, but the 1, 2, 3 plus money, plus 100 just makes no sense to me. It makes no sense. He's minus 200 to win inside the distance. He's not finishing Holland if it gets like to the 4th and 5th round. I think at that point, he'll be probably very, very tired. I think if he does finish Holland, it is in rounds probably 1 or 2. But I like getting that extra third round there. So yeah, plus 100. I think that's one of the better plays on that fight. Hello, spinning fat kick. Love Weezy guy. I mean, I almost died laughing during his breakdown on Tuesday. Just hilarious. Hello, I subscribed and like. Appreciate you. If you guys have not already, please be sure to like. Also subscribe. Kind of trying to grow the channel. He's saying I picked Martinez for KO at round 3, Barnett KO round 3. Nate at the round 4. All those are probably pretty juicy there. I'm leaning the other way on actually all 3 of those fights, but you never know. We'll see what happens. Yeah, give me that 1, 2, 3 plus 100. Yeah, line makes no sense. Line makes no sense. Let's see here. When does it start? The fight started about 31 minutes. Let me see here. We got a dono. We got Nick. $5 dono. Appreciate you, Nick. Does mean a lot. Does go a long way. Saying big fan, Brady. Appreciate you, Nick. Who wins a dance off, Barnett or Bieber? Yeah, that's an easy answer for me. I mean, it's Barnett all day. He's a phenomenal dancer. He has great dance move. I'm sure we're going to see those dance moves shown off on the walkout, maybe a little bit in the cage as well. If this, like I was saying, if this was on Dancing with the Stars, Jake Collier versus Chris Barnett head to head on Dancing with the Stars, this line would be flipped. We'd see Chris Barnett minus 500 on Dancing with the Stars. Unfortunately for Chris Barnett, this is not Dancing with the Stars. This is UFC. And at that point, I think Jake Collier is better in every single aspect of MMA outside of the pure dancing technique. There is a narrative out there. If you do like Chris Barnett and you think that dancing does win fights. So I got into an argument with somebody because I said on one of my videos that dancing does not win fights. I said it does not win fights. And somebody disagreed. Somebody thinks that dancing does win fights. So I got to thinking, if you think dancing does indeed win fights, the split is a dance move that you often see. And, Barnett, he does do those splits, right? Barnett by split decision is plus 2,800 on DraftKings Sportsbook. If you think dancing does win fights, Barnett by split decision is probably the way to go. And Tommy's saying it right here, dancing win fights. Tommy, if you think dancing does win fights, split decision for Chris Barnett is the way to go. But sadly for me, I don't think dancing wins fights. So I'm going with Collier to win inside the distance. Dancing with the Stars, absolutely. Yeah, this is not Dancing with the Stars. This is UFC. Who's Angela Hill fight this week? It could be Daniel Wolf. Norma Dumont could go out there and pull a Lupe Godinez. She can go out there and just completely crap the bed, show bad fight IQ and strike with Danielle Wolf. If that's the case, if she strikes with Danielle Wolf for 15 minutes, she's not going to look like a big favorite. So if there's an Angela Hill, it probably is Danielle Wolf, but I'm hoping that's not the case. Same game parlay. Aldana total takedowns +1 is plus 310. I'm not sure if she's going to attempt takedowns, honestly, but it is juicy. Just watch Barnett winning by split. Hey, if it happens, hold it here. Let's see here. Barnett by KO. That's probably how he wins. But the split decision is interesting. Have you not seen Greece? Yeah, not in a while. Dancing totally wins fights. Yeah, I don't know if it's gonna work at this level though. Pick it or Tuoluen. I'll say Tuoluen, but it's hard to be confident in that fight. Parlay spots. Yeah, I mean, I'd tread lightly on the parlays this week. It's a greasy card. It's a card that has been sketchy from the get-go, and especially with all these new fights just changing around. I'd kind of tread lightly on the parlays. I like Collier as a parlay piece, but I just don't know what I would parlay him with. Collier's win-loss streak is undefeated in the UFC. Yes, he is on a win-loss streak, and he is due for a win there, for what it's worth. Tuoluen and KO plus 325. I think that's going to be live. Alatang wins and then wears his stupid hat. I disagree on both, really. I think and Hellinger has a good chance to win, and I also think that his hat is not stupid. I actually really like his hat. Almeida inside the distance minus 275 is my favorite pick. Yeah, I think he does finish the fight. Can Ferguson get the finish, or do you like him by decision? I think decision's most likely, but I did play the decision no bet on FanDuel, which is the scorecards equals no action, minus 108 for Ferguson. I think if there's a finish in this fight, I think it's going to come from the Ferguson side. So that line just did not make a ton of sense to me. And it's minus 108 on FanDuel, and on Bet Online, it's like minus 160 last time I saw. So I did hop on that. Alatang on some good vitamins, down at fight ready, that is for sure. Ferguson will slice Diaz up, and yeah, that's kind of the concern with these over bets. I was initially leaning to these overs, but that very well is a concern to be aware of. Don't parlay Gilton. You'll deeply regret it. Well, I will not be parlaying Gilton, but I bet a lot of people will be. But yeah, no parlay for you, but I do think he wins. Brandon, what is up, Brandon? Plus 440 for Pickett. Tuoluen, fight to start round 2, minus 400. Dawodu, Rosa, fight doesn't go, plus 104. Almeida, KO or sub, minus 300. Hamzat, KO or sub, minus 170. If I had to guess, I'd say that probably does hit for you. Plus 440 is pretty juicy as well. I think all those are very, very likely. Don't agree with yeah, I mean, I think they're all very likely. What is up, Mr. Ray? Is that the Alatang hat? I think that might be the Alatang hat. There you go. Yeah, shout out to Alatang. Hot take: Dumont isn't taking this fight to the mat. Yeah, that's if she does that, it's going to be. I don't know. I mean, would I be shocked? No. I've seen it happen plenty of times. Corey McKenna, Lupe Godinez, just going out there and just completely crapping the bed. You would think Dumont wouldn't do that, but yeah, we'll see. What do you think about FanDuel Sportsbook compared to others? They have the best lines on the props from what I've seen. The only thing is they've gotten a lot worse at releasing the odds on the fights. So typically, like about a year or so ago, they would release these props like early, like they'd have the main event on Sunday. They'd get their props out like Monday, Tuesday. But now we're seeing that FanDuel's waiting like late Wednesday night, like late, or like Thursday morning. I think this week on a pay-per-view, they got the props out for the main card like Thursday. All the rest of the fights like Thursday, like late Thursday night. I mean, so the odds are the best, and it's kind of frustrating whenever, for me, for example, I get all my research done typically on a Sunday, so I'm ready to bet on Sunday, and these lines come out. But sometimes you gotta kind of wait for FanDuel Sportsbook. Got to wait days for FanDuel Sportsbook, and by that time, all these other lines get smashed. So kind of frustrating, but they typically do have the best lines out there. Is Weeks safe-ish? I'm picking him to win. I don't know about like safe, but he just has to survive that first round and a half. Lioness hits like a truck, but Weeks has never been knocked out. I'm banking on that durability and on that cardio. Would I say it's safe? Not really. It's a kind of a tough fight to call, but I am on the weak side myself. Still liking Elise as an underdog. No, but I did bet it because I have to. I mean, this line does not make much sense. From what we've seen, I think it's a very close fight. So I am on the plus 148 on Elise Reed. Do I like it? No. But I just think the line's so off. I think it should be closer to a pick 'em, and I think it's going to look like a close fight. But the hard part is we just have not seen Martinez in over 1,000 days. She could have leveled up, and that's probably the toughest part to call in this fight. Pleasure Man has the style that would give Jonathan fits. I just don't know if he has that strength and physicality. That is true. I think this fight might be more competitive than the line. I think it could look competitive as well, but once Jonathan does get on top, I think the fight's probably over shortly after. But Turkalle's not a bum. He's a very good fighter. And I know people are crapping on him for the Contender Series performance, but I was actually really impressed. He showed a lot of new things that I've never seen before. So yeah, I think he's good. It's just a tough matchup. Probably could hand Jonathan an upset for sure. Yeah, maybe it's a good live betting fight because Jonathan 16 wins, all of them under 1.5. If Jonathan does go over this 1.5 round mark, I know for a fact that Turkalle has the better cardio. Turkalle's cardio is phenomenal. Out of nowhere too, because I was not expecting them to have this good of cardio. But he went 3 rounds on the Contender Series. I think he attempted like nearly 20 takedowns, got 11 of them. So yeah, if it gets extended, Turkalle's live. I just think it finishes early. Confidence in Rodriguez, not really. It's a close fight. Are you still most high on Chimaev and DK? Yes, I am. I have like 80% Chimaev. I have 80% Almeida, and I do have 20% Holland. I don't think anybody's going to play him. If he does pull off the upset, I think I will still be over the field there, but it's hard to ignore both Chimaev and Almeida, especially now that a lot of pieces have opened up down low, like Ferguson, Diaz are both in play and must plays. And then Rodriguez is a very good play now. You are able to go up and get Almeida and Chimaev. So yeah, I have a ton of both Chimaev and Almeida. But I did hedge a little bit with Holland. I did hedge a little bit with Turkalle as well. Yep, Jonathan has never won a fight that's went over 1.5. That is a very good point. DFS King, I don't know if anyone's asked this, but I'm single entry DraftKings. Do you recommend stacking the main event? And my other fill-in is Collier. Do you think he is the best option below Hamza and Almeida? The answer to both of those for me is going to be yes. I think absolutely you stack the main event in cash, in single. I'm doing exactly that. And then I also think that Collier is the best option below Hamza and Almeida. For me, it was either Collier, Dumont, or like Ian Kulaba, which is more risky but has a ton of upside. But I think Collier is safe. I think he has upside, and I think he finishes this fight. I'm giving Walker one more chance. Yeah, I have a small shot on him by knockout, quarter unit. We'll see what happens, but he very well could get knocked out. Thoughts on Chimaev inside the distance, Almeida inside the distance, and Rodriguez parlay plus 210. I think the first two have a very good likelihood of hitting. Rodriguez should win, but I don't know if I'd parlay Rodriguez, to be honest. Y'all are scaring me with this BS pleasure man talk. I'm just saying he's not a bum. I think Almeida wins in the first round. He's just not a bum. Doesn't betting on the fights ruin the fun in watching it if they lose? I think it does the opposite. Betting on fights makes it more fun, at least for me. Ferguson or Diaz, how confident are you? I'm going Ferguson. I think it's a close fight. I think it's going to be competitive, but I do lean Ferguson. I don't have a bet on the money line. I was planning on maybe betting Ferguson if he got the plus money, but the lines went the completely other way. It's now Ferguson like minus 150, minus 160. And yes, fights are way more intense with bets, especially if you have a big bet on a fight. I got Walker by KO round 1 or round 2. I think it's live. Yeah, both guys are very, very unreliable. Should be a pick 'em, way more value on Walker. And I agree. I think it should be a pick 'em because somebody is getting knocked out. Could Kudalaba knock out Walker? Absolutely. Could Walker knock out Kudalaba? Absolutely. Wolf worth a sprinkle. Lock of the night did. I think he said he did sprinkle that Wolf money line, and he's doing that because just basically you can't trust Norma Dumont at this price tag. Does Norma Dumont have the tools to win this fight and win it dominantly? Yes, she does. Will she use those tools? We'll have to find out. If she goes in there and gets the fight down to the match, she's going to finish the fight shortly after. She's going to have a significant ground advantage, at least on paper. If she decides to not go for takedowns, Wolf is going to not look plus 320, plus 325. So, yeah, I think she could be worth a sprinkle, but I'm also more so on the Dumont side. Dumont getting the takedown and Dumont getting the finish inside the distance. So I'm on Dumont inside the distance. I like the fight. Doesn't go to decision. But you will not see me parlaying up Norma Dumont this week. You will not see me laying minus 425 on her. That's just one of those spots where at the end of the night, you're just going to look at yourself in the mirror and just be very disappointed in yourself that you parlayed Norma Dumont and she didn't shoot a takedown. So I think she should win, but minus 425 to find out. No, thank you. What do you think about Collier Almeida under parlay? I think they both hit. Collier being under 2.5 and then Almeida being under 1.5. Best prop bet of the night, in your opinion? I have a ton of prop bets. It's a light card for me in terms of unit sizes. My biggest bet is 1 unit, but I have a lot of props sprinkled. The best one, probably Collier inside the distance. I mean, Collier, he should finish this guy. If he doesn't, he should be ashamed of himself. I mean, he's minus 500. It's a heavyweight fight. Burnett's been finished a ton. He has no cardio, no ground game. Collier should finish Chris Burnett. So for me, it's probably Collier inside the distance. Yeah, I was like, what the heck? Wolf was looking huge at the weigh-in. She was towering over Norma Dumont, which Norma Dumont's a very big fighter in her own right. I was like, what is going on? So yeah, that scares me a little bit. But Dumont has all the tools to win this fight, no matter how freaking big Wolf looked. A lot of people were taking the shot on Diaz when he was against Hamzat. Yes. Now that he's going against Tony, people are totally counting him out. Doesn't make sense. I think Diaz takes this. Yeah, it is weird, right? I saw a lot more people betting Diaz when he was a massive underdog against Hamzat Chimaev. Now I don't really see a ton of people betting Diaz. I mean, a good amount, but not like a ton. I saw just everybody was betting Diaz against Chimaev. So we'll see what happens. Magic St. Brady, thanks a lot. You're the man. You are the man for hanging out on a Saturday. Almost time for the fights. We've about 16 more minutes. The acne, Oliver Wolf's back, make you question USADA. I did not see the acne. All I saw was just how freaking jacked she was. She is in incredible shape. Right. Thank you, sir. Go all. Thank you, Jason, for hanging out. Holland by sub is tasty at plus 1600. Want to know what's tasty to me? I saw these props last night. I was like, what? Going on the Chimaev and Holland fight. So speaking of Holland sub, Holland by submission in round 3 plus 10,000. It was plus 14,000. I mean, you never see props like this. Holland by submission in round 4 was plus 17,000 yesterday. Now plus 13,000. Holland by submission in round 5 was at one point plus 21,000. Could you imagine 1 unit to win 210 units? Holland submission. I mean, obviously it's unlikely, but you just never see props that juicy. So that kind of stuck out to me, but obviously I'm not playing that. I am playing the 3, 4, 5 round sprinkles though on Holland. Cannot wait for that fight. It's gonna be a very good fight. So, Senko's dump truck comment was great. Yes, it was. Holland is more likely to win in rounds 3, 4, or 4 and 5. Probably 4 and 5. 3 could be in play though. Brady and everybody else in the chat, do you ever find yourself scoring the fights as perhaps another judge? I often have the same scorecard as the Japanese judge, Jurisho Kimojo. I haven't really looked into any of that. Hopefully I'm not scoring fights like Chris Lee, though. That'd be bad. But I do try to judge the fights to the best of my ability. And a lot of times I'm wrong because a lot of times the judges just are off. But I think they've been doing a lot better as of late. That is for sure. Aldana or Chiazon. You mean Justin Bieber? It's Aldana for me. What are the what is the prop bet on Holland shaving Shmaev's beard mid-fight? Probably plus 100 even money. Jake the GOAT will finish Barnett. I hope so. Aldo or Alda or Aldana or Dawadu for DK. Dawadu. I got you, Dark Joke. Yeah, I don't really pay attention. Have you already gone over the 3 switches in this live? My bad, showing up late. Yeah, we went over them quite a few times. I do have some bets on. I have the Ferguson decision no bet on FanDuel minus 108. I think it's more likely that Ferguson gets to finish than Diaz. I'd be shocked if Diaz finished Ferguson, honestly. Diaz 1 submission win in the last 10 years, I think. Diaz not much of a knockout guy. I think he has like 20% knockout rate. Ferguson, 80% finish rate. So I do like that. And then I also like the Khamzat Chimaev to win in rounds 1, 2, or 3. 1, 2, or 3 at plus 100. And then I also don't mind the Kevin Holland round sprinkles or Kevin Holland live. Martin Budai decision was pretty bad. Yeah, that fight took a couple of years off my life. I had a bet on Martin Budai in a parlay. And first of all, he lost the fight 30-27. Came in there with a completely different game plan we've ever seen. Like, that's not how Martin Budai fights. Typically, he's pushing guys against the cage, using his size, and he was the much bigger fighter in that fight. He didn't do any of that. He lost the fight 30-27, and the judges scored it for Martin Budai. So, yeah, that was I don't know what fight there. Maybe they fell asleep because, how could you blame them? That fight was awful, but that was a very, very bad decision. Yeah, Sal D'Amato, Chris Lee, not good. SL with the mega parlay, Walker plus under, Walker in the under, Aldana, Holland plus the over 5,200. There you go. Let's see if you hit that. Some juicy odds there. All right, guys, about 10 more minutes, and then we will head out. We have Lioness Weeks kicking off the card in about 10 minutes. Any final questions, we'll get to them. If you guys have not already, be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel. Let's get those likes up. I will be back tomorrow on Pub Sports Radio for Stat Diggers with Uncle Weezy, breaking down, I think it's UFC Vegas 60. I think it's 60. And next week's card is very good. Before all the fight changes, I actually thought the next week's card was better than this pay-per-view before these fights got much better with the 3 new fights. But next week, if you're a fan of violence, you are going to like next week's fight cards. Make sure you guys tune into that on Pub Sports Radio. Uncle Weezy, speaking of Uncle Weezy, saying, I'm so glad I didn't watch the Budai fight. Had 4.5 units on Budai. Would have probably had a thrombo if I watched that hot garbage. Yes, hot garbage, you say the least. I was embarrassed for having Budai in a parlay. And he won the fight, so I was happy. But the very next fight, I had a Lupi Godinez in the parlay with Budai. Just 2 displays back-to-back of horrible fight IQ from Lupi Godinez and Martin Budai. In those 2 fights back to back, they took 5 years off my life, which is very tough to watch. NFL plays for tomorrow. I typically look into NFL on game day for my bets. So nothing as of now, but will certainly be looking into it early Sunday morning when I got some time. Best of luck to you as well. Ferguson winner, yeah, I believe so. We got Clint. What is up, Clint? The Dynamite Podcast saying BetMGM has to win the fight in 60-second props. This is the kind of card where shit like that hits. Who gets it done in 60 seconds? Let's see. So 60-second finish. We have Dumont Wolf, no. And Hellinger, Alatang, no. Reed Martinez, no. Weeks like Lioness could potentially get Weeks out there in 60 seconds. Collier Barnett, no. Tualu and Pickett, no. Almeida, Turcali, maybe. Dewadu Rosa, no. Kudalaba Walker, yes. Aldana Chiazon, no. Rodriguez Lee, no. Chimaev Holland, no. Ferguson Diaz. So I think the 2 fights would be Kudalaba Walker has a good potential to finish the fight in 60 seconds, and then Lioness definitely has the power to finish the fight in 60 seconds. But those would be the 2 fights I'd be looking at. Is the main event a good small field stack, and he only scored once solid in a loss against McGregor. So for me, I'm not doing a ton of stacking outside of cash and single entry. I think for single and cash, a stack is a must, especially in cash. You want to stack the fight. But for tournaments, I think a lot of people are going to do that. And I think there are a lot of live dogs. So I don't know how well it's going to work out. So I'm not doing it much in tournaments, but would I be shocked if the stack was optimal? No. But I do think it's going to be more popular than I really like it to be. Alexander, Ryan, $4.99. Appreciate you saying much appreciated, Brady. Much appreciation to you for the dono, for you hanging out. Does go a long way. Thank you so much, Alexander. Does mean a lot. All right, a couple more comments and we'll head out. Jay saying Almeida on DK. Yes, I have a quarter unit shot on Almeida by KO at plus 360. I think he's very live for the sub, obviously, but I think he's very live for the TKO as well. Lioness, yeah. If somebody wins in 60 seconds, it very well could be Lioness with that guy's power. Walker has a glass jaw. That is very true. Walker in 60. Yeah, somebody very well can get finished in 60 seconds in that fight. No problem, Kyle. Thank you for hanging out on fight day. The boy, it's going to get scary for Hamzat at times. I can just see it. It could be similar to his Brunson and Vettori fight. But once he's up, question marks, plus 5 rounds. Yeah. I think Chimaev does probably finish Holland early. But yeah, if it gets to the 3rd, 4th, and 5th round, I just think it's going to get interesting. I think it's going to get very, very interesting. Nick saying, like and subscribe. Enjoy the fights tonight. You as well, Nick. Thank you so much. I do agree. Leave a like, subscribe. Does go a long way. All right. I guess all that's left. I'll give my final predictions, and then we'll kind of head out of here. So, the first fight of the night, I'll take Darian Weeks to win. I think he weathers the early storm of Lioness. Lioness obviously has a ton of power, but I think Weeks never being knocked out in 25 combined professional amateur fights, I think it's going to allow him to hopefully tough it out, make this a grind, and win that decision, maybe get a late finish. I like Darian Weeks to win the first fight of the night. Elise Reed, Melissa Martinez. It's a dog shot for me on Reed. Do I like it? No. But, I mean, the line just does not make a ton of sense. I think it's a super close fight. Elise Reed struggles with getting taken down. Melissa Martinez has never shot a takedown in her life. So I think it's going to be close. I like the level of competition of Reed. I like the, how active she's been compared to Martinez. I will side with Reed to get it done. And I do have a small shot on Elise Reed. Not happy about it, but it had to be done. Chad and Hellinger, Alatang Hali. I think Alatang Hali has all the paths to win this fight, all the tools, if he takes the right game plan. The problem is I just don't really trust him to do it enough to lay minus 175. No bet on this fight for me, but if anything, it's dogger pass for Hellinger. But I'm fully aware that Alatang Hali has all the tools to win this fight. Just go for takedowns. If he goes for takedowns, he looks like a big favorite, just not something he's really done. Daniel Wolf, Norma Dumont. The weigh-ins scare me a little bit. Wolf looked just completely massive. She looked like she should be fighting at 170 pounds. So that's scary, but Dumont's going to have a significant advantage on the mat if she does choose to take it there. Brown belt and BJJ and Dumont. I think she might even have her black belt at this point. Daniel Wolf, white belt. Like on paper, Dumont should just run through Daniel Wolf if she gets a takedown, and you got to think she does. She's minus 425. I don't like the money line, but I don't mind Dumont inside the distance at plus money. Chris Barnett going against Jake Collier. Yeah, like I said earlier, shout out to Chris Barnett. He set a UFC record. Never thought I'd be saying that. The record was he was the heaviest to ever weigh in. So congrats to Chris Barnett for that. But from the fight, as far as the fight goes, I think Jake Collier is a big favorite for a reason. I think Collier does finish this fight inside the distance. Collier, not much of a finisher, but I think he has multiple paths to finish here. Whether it's by submission, whether it's by TKO, whether it's him overwhelming Barnett and finishing him late. So I like Collier inside the distance. Dennis Tuoluen, Jamie Pickett. Not a big fan of this fight. Pretty much every single Jamie Pickett fight's pretty boring, but Dennis Tuoluen, the scorecards equals no action, plus money sticks out to me. I think if there's a finish, it's more likely coming from Tuoluen. Could Pickett go out there and make this a horrible, boring fight? Absolutely could. So not a fight I'm overly looking forward to, but I think Tuoluen, scorecards no action, and then the Tuoluen knockout where some props have stuck out. Almeida, Turcale. Yeah, good amount of people on Turcale in the chat, it looks like, but I think Almeida probably does get him out of there in the first round. I went with a small shot on Almeida by knockout, just because I think that the knockout, the TKO, is just as likely as the sub. The sub, you're laying chalk on it. The knockout is like plus 360. It's got bet down a lot, and rightfully so. Still plus 250. I think the TKO is just as live as the sub there. Arosa, the Wadu, I got fight doesn't go minus 106. The Wadu, not much of a finisher, but Julian Arosa is a killer be killed fighter. He eats one to give one. He actually eats 6.5 to give one. Eats a ton of shots with his face. Dewadu hits hard. I think Dewadu knocks out Arosa, but if Arosa wins, I think Arosa could very well finish Dewadu. I think violence is the way to go. Johnny Walker, Kudalaba, speaking of violence, I think violence is the way to go on this one as well. I did take a corner unit shot on Walker by knockout around plus 325. It's now plus 300. I think if he wins, it's by knockout. Kudalaba, he's been knocked out. People wouldn't believe it, but Kudalaba's been knocked out the same amount of times in the UFC as Johnny Walker. I know it's hard to believe, but Johnny Walker's been knocked out twice in the UFC. Kudalaba's been knocked out twice in the UFC. I think somebody's getting served here. So plus 300 on Walker by KO is a good look, but Kudalaba can absolutely start him in the first round. Irene Aldana going against Justin Bieber. I do like Aldana in this matchup. I think it's a good matchup for her. 84% takedown defense, phenomenal good at game, the better striker by a mile. I think she stuffed the takedowns, keeps it at range, and wins this fight. Don't really like the 140 catch weight, but it is what it is. You kind of got to expect that stuff with Chiazon. Always something with her at the weigh-ins, but I do like Aldana, and I do like the money line. Rodriguez-Lee, very close fight. I would lean towards the overs, but they're terrifying. The over 2.5, minus 150. If you'd like the Lee, it's probably by knockout, but the problem with that is D-Rod has never been knocked out. Chimaev Holland, I do have two bets on this fight. Chimaev to win in rounds 1, 2, or 3, plus 100. And then also I sprinkled like a tenth of a unit on Holland to win in round 3, round 4, and round 5. I think the most likely scenario is Chimaev does get Holland out of there within the first 2 minutes. But if this fight does get extended, I think Holland will have plenty of opportunities to find a late finish. And the main event, Diaz, Ferguson. I do like Ferguson here. I was kind of hoping the line would come down a little bit. Maybe it does, throughout the event, but I do like Ferguson to get it done. And I do like the Ferguson scorecards. He goes no action at minus 108 on FanDuel. I think there's a much more likely, it's much more likely that Ferguson gets the finish here than Diaz. Diaz only one submission in the last 10 years. Diaz, not much of a knockout threat. Ferguson, very, very dangerous. And of course, you got the whole cut stoppage, doctor stoppage on the Diaz side as well. I think this fight probably does go the distance, but the scorecards, no action, did stick out to me. All right. We have about 1 minute. Still 350 of you in here. If you guys have not already, be sure to leave a like on your way out. Subscribe to the channel. I'll be back tomorrow for Pub Sports Radio for Stat Diggers, digging in to UFC 260. Make sure you guys tune into that. Best of luck with your action. It's a good card from a fan standpoint. From a betting standpoint, it's a tricky one. I'm going light. I have a lot of just little sprinkles throughout the card. Nothing major. My biggest bet is only 1 unit. I'll have a lot more action next week for UFC Vegas 60, I think it is. So that should be a fun card. So leave a like, subscribe. Best of luck. Thank you all so much for hanging out, and good luck for UFC 279. Nate Diaz, Tony Ferguson. See you later.